All right, man. Good to go. All right. Now, real quick. Let's see. Get going.
No.
Yeah, Mayor said turn it off. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll say you have the plans for us.
Oh,
Please.
yes.
That was it. Oh.
Hey,
All right.
You gotta call to order.
you gotta call.
Yeah, I'm gonna call to order. Let's stand up. Good morning, everyone. It's now 9:03 and we're starting our August 7th, 2026 City Council Workshop. We'll now do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor and protect the flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland, can you do the invocation for us, please, this morning?
Certainly. Dear Lord, we thank you so much for this second day together here on behalf of the people of the city of Bastrop to discuss just all the different things that are going on, looking backwards, looking at today, and looking forwards. We pray for your continued blessings upon the city of Bastrop. We love you and we thank you. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 All right, thank you. All right. Pulling up the new agenda, correct?
Mm-hmm. So we left off at number 2, capital projects.
So, all right. We'll resume with agenda item number 2, capital projects. Madam City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. You heard yesterday a lot of the current projects that are going on. Some of those, in fact, all of those will carry over into FY27. And for FY28, that's going to be part of the discussion that we have today. And again, I hate to create a capital budget because it lends the belief that we are going to be forced in a borrow situation at a certain period in time. Staff in Bastrop, just like every other city, we're very good at taking a look at something and marching toward that hill. So if I tell you that we've got a $50 million capital budget through 25, 26, 27, 28, we're gonna march to get to 50 million by 2028. And that's not how I like to do things. I like to understand what's on the horizon. We decide as a group what is important, what you want to prioritize, and then we fix the financial models as such so that we have as minimal tax implication as possible. We're going to start with, all of these are capital project related. We're going to start with the master transportation plan, and it's called East-West Connection north of 71. That's Blakey. So we left off Blakey yesterday. You guys asked for simulation videos. We told you that the traffic engineer had sent those already, and so we're going to share those concepts, and you probably want to turn that around.
So before we start with these, I got a question.
Sure.
As we're watching these, you know, there's theory and there's practice. How, I understand, and understanding that this is the best we got, but how accurate can we
So they did an
anticipate?
AM/PM based
Okay.
on traffic counts as they studied the intersection. So there's 2 different scenarios for each one.
Okay.
And I don't think they took into account that middle hour where school isn't a factor. So this is scenario
It's basically
one.
peak traffic flow at
Mhm,
the
mhm.
AM and the PM. Okay. That's really what we want to design for.
And this request came about because I had found that there was a open source piece of software that has been around for more than 10 years that you can download, run, and then download the GIS map data from the internet and then put cars on it and simulate traffic flow. And so then I asked him like, hey, is there anybody that can do this? And then these videos were born.
So this is scenario number 1 in an AM. It doesn't show the Blakey Reed connection because ostensibly that's a free flow of traffic with the exception of the slowdown at the curb. Yeah. So the idea with the roundabout is there is always a free flow of cars. You can get from 969 to Old Austin Highway to the downtown without having to get on 71. And then you see there is a little bit of a stacking at the Reed Blakey as, no, I'm not trying to create my own video. I'm not trying to create my own video. Oh, it's thinking. So see the blue cars that are coming from Reed, there's a little bit of stacking there more than in any one of the other intersections. The concern also for us was you saw that 18-wheeler, it was a bit tight. Mark with the boot company relies heavily on multiple 18-wheelers every single day at his place or every single week. And so, I'm sorry, I keep touching it and it's...
No, I think it's because it finishes,
Oh.
it goes to the end.
And
Yeah.
so he's asked us for consideration of that driveway, the flare of the driveway to make sure that those 18-wheelers are able to get in and out easily. So that's AM.
So there was, can you just point to the boot company?
Right here.
Thank you, that's
Mhm.
what I thought.
Right here, and this is, so let me go back to the very beginning. You'll see the 18-wheeler. There it is.
Yeah.
It's a little stiff.
Yeah. So there's some consideration at that particular area, not just for Mark, but yeah. Now, I'll also remind you that we don't allow 18-wheelers on Blakey. The only ones that are allowed on Blakey are to deliver what's right there to the Lowe's and to those. That's not a route for normal 18-wheelers. So what you're going to be seeing there is going to be the traffic related to the retail. And as more retail goes, you'll see some of that.
Okay, so this is AM, but not during school time, correct?
No, this is AM peak school time.
So, okay, I'm just asking because I don't see cars going in and out of the school. That's kind of,
Well, the
So
school
notice
is
how
off
they're
over to
disappearing
the,
just to the west of the.
sure,
Yeah, so gotta assume those are coming from there.
I need some stackage because it's stackage. Just saying, I get stacks.
One thing that is on the video that may not be just super apparent is that there is an acceleration lane on the access road that's been added.
right here.
Yeah, because right now there's a stop sign there, and if you backed
Now
up,
that's what causes a lot of stacking.
yeah,
Yeah.
so if you backed up, 6 cars there, those cars would be backed up into the roundabout and block all traffic and shut down the intersection. And so that additional acceleration lane was necessary to prevent that.
I'm on that.
Yeah.
I am on the fact that you're gonna have however many parents dropping kids off at school. That line, that driveway is gonna
Yeah.
stack up. And it's gonna stack up. on all
This
our-
driveway,
Yeah,
the
which
school
That
driveway.
drive
That
right
one.
there is going to stack up.
Yep.
And that is what I'm not seeing. Cars are popping up after the driveway.
The school, so didn't the school change their circulation? There's none of that anymore. The school is at the back. Didn't they reconfigure their driveways on Jessica? They closed one of the driveways on
That's-
Jessica for
but-
that.
But you have so are they gonna come in the backside because the entrance to the school is in the front of the parking lot. It loops around to drop them off, to get them out. Like it's a whole parking lot. A lot of people use that parking lot. So,
Yeah, for in and out.
yes. Yes, where you get dropped off is the front of
Can
the
we still
school.
get
Can we?
that additional details taken into this scenario? I believe it is, but we can confirm.
Yeah, you need to read that appendix and see if it says that. Okay, so let's go to concept 2 in the AM. I'll get off the Wi-Fi, it might be faster. Yeah, scenario 2, no roundabouts. Jessica open, and you can see that's probably the worst letter grade. Let's see.
Yeah, no, the residents want to get out of the neighborhood.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Food stacking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
That's an easy one.
That wasn't a recommendation.
Yeah.
That was not a recommendation.
Like right before I walked in the back door, I was on the phone with a neighbor letting me know. It's 440 homes here, sir. How are we gonna get off of KDB?
And that's part of the, and I hope your response was part of the issue is really only have one way in and one
Right.
way out.
Well, yes, I let them know. We have to look at other avenues for egress.
Is this 3?
Mm-hmm.
Something like 2 out.
Yeah, and 3 is no Reed, just, if we couldn't get the right of way on Reed, this is everything traveling that way, and I don't even think you guys
Yeah, that's
want.
worse.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay, so we won't go there.
One is really the option, isn't it?
So far, there's more.
And back to
Yeah.
Yeah.
But wait, there's more. Yeah, let's see. Same,
Yeah, that was with, if it went through the school.
yeah, this is, yeah, we contemplated, let me go back and pause it. So we had contemplated, our work with the school included coming behind the businesses when we couldn't get the businesses all together, coming behind the businesses and getting this right of way from the Bryants and the Griesenbecks along here. This was problematic for the school. Anytime you mix, traffic and kids is problematic for the school. It was also problematic for the businesses. I mean, how do I, get them in and out and give them access at that
Avoid the businesses.
rate of a speed? Yeah. So,
So that was scenario 4. Okay.
One is so far,
Mark that
right?
one off too.
one is winning so far, and really this is one without the roundabout. Yeah, all stops. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So what you saw yesterday were various versions of 1 with the speed, the turn on the curve, because really that's been the only one that's reasonable. So I'm gonna go back to number 1.
And that keeps Jessica closed.
No.
No.
No,
Okay,
1 had it open.
Mm-hmm.
but we discussed with, yesterday, just maximizing whatever safety.
Yeah,
Right.
sidewalks,
Sidewalks,
speed bumps.
yeah.
Mhm,
Speed bumps.
mhm.
As neighborhood friendly as possible.
Because part of making the intersection work is for the Riverside Grove people who don't need to go through that intersection to not go through that intersection, because that relieves that intersection.
Could an 18-wheeler get all the way around a roundabout if it needed to?
Mhm. Yeah, the consideration that you saw that first one,
Yeah, the first one we did, it was too small. And then it couldn't make it, the fire truck.
See right
couldn't
there.
get around. And so, when we redid it, moved it back and made it wider.
and to the point about the stacking right here, I know you're talking about the stacking right here.
Mhm.
This is also a decel lane, and then these are, remember TxDOT is putting the delineators to stop people from going all the way across.
Yeah, no, that looks smooth.
So that-
I'm
That'll
just
be a
saying,
huge
that
benefit.
line going into that middle school is gonna be
Yeah.
there.
And we're
So-
good with 18-wheeler there, was that one okay? or-
That's
Yeah.
the 18-wheeler.
Okay, all right.
Maybe not
White
these new
square.
CDL drivers, but.
Yeah, well, so there's some flare that needs to happen right there, and there's some flare that we need to work on with his driveway.
Okay.
Do you have any buttons or pins or anything? Save 'em
When you
up.
take your arrow to the green triangle, kind of down, but right there, like, is that gonna be tall?
That's just a green curb, a little bit of a raised curb to be able to, so there's no stop sign, so you immediately flow into the.
Right, I get it, it's just
Yeah.
like, if the people coming from, like, the yellow car, if they miss it, that could mess up.
Nah, they're not
Oh,
gonna miss the
here?
curve.
Well, that's a turn only.
Oh, yeah, that
I
is a
get it, I'm
turn.
just
Had you-
wanting that to be dramatic, so it like forces
Well,
traffic.
you're not.
Kinda
Not
like-
gentle
having
kinda like
suggestion,
what's
it's like
it-
a real,
Chewies, kind of like what's the Chewies, those big.
Yeah.
bigger.
But it's not, you're not generating that much speed in that curve.
And if you go, like,
When
First
he's,
National Bank
she's
has
talking about
those.
coming.
So she's talking about right here, so if this
Talking
car,
about
if this car's coming too fast and misses the
Yeah.
curb, like how does he get back this way?
He has to hit the roundabout and come on back.
No, yeah, he's gotta either hit the roundabout or he's gotta be able to get to that lane.
Right, well, we have that all over the place.
But he just
But
went.
if you had.
He just moved
delineators-
over there.
Right, but he would have just had to move over to
I
that
just want
lane.
this to be
Yeah,
so
200
dramatic
feet ago.
that that has
Well, I
to
don't want
happen,
it to
that
be
has to happen.
weird.
This
Yeah.
person could, if this isn't dramatic, this person could.
No.
Worst case scenario.
Like the
Like,
Chewies,
you don't know
like
drunk
the.
drivers, come
I see them all
on.
Like
day long
that's
downtown.
drunk drivers or anything on any kind of road without that, that's.
Fine.
The least.
So,
It's gonna be
so
perfect.
the ones like, this is what TxDOT put at Chewies and what TxDOT put at,
Yeah.
oh, there's two there now. McDonald's,
Mhm.
right? Chewies and Roadhouse, yeah, they're
Dramatic.
dramatic, there's sticks in the air.
Yeah.
People still hit them, but,
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
yeah.
If you're gonna hit those things,
Yeah.
you should not be in that car driving.
We're
Over at Chili's and McDonald's, I mean,
Yeah.
actually, get off the road.
at Chili's over there, or not Chili's, Chewy's and all that over there, they did the stand-up delineators. Over here, we're planning to do, they call them turtle humps. They're concrete like humps that are gonna be there so that it doesn't like, they'll sink those little delineators, they just get knocked down, like we had a whole bunch in front of HEB and they're gone, right, so they just destroy it. So we're gonna put these turtle humps through there, but we're working with TxDOT, so anything we do on 71 will all have to be approved by TxDOT. So it'll have to be built to their standards and to their requirements, so we'll make sure we cover those with them.
And not only safety wise, but are they more attractive than those delineators?
Yeah, those are ugly.
Yeah,
agree.
so you're kind of confusing.
He sent me, I'll send it to Sylvia, what it looks like.
That's why I hate triplanes in Austin with all those crazy things all over the place.
Will you send me some examples of what you've seen that work?
It's unreal. Just don't go Carter anymore.
Okay, so master transportation plan, east-west connection north of 71. We all agreed with option 1, but it has some caveats. So we need better, clearer delineators on that intersection. But more importantly for the neighborhood, we need to review sidewalk connectivity.
And Jessica speed control. think is a good way to put it, right?
Jessica, speed control.
We already reduced the speed over there, but we can do it
And
more.
you were saying something about
Well,
18
it's like-
No, I'm saying,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
I'm
the
saying we can do it
widening.
more
Yeah.
because we're gonna
For the
expose
Texas
more
Big Company.
traffic.
Anything else on that? So,
There is Ishmael's concern that he said that I can't quite quantify, but where the traffic is stacking
right here.
in order for people, right, I agree, but in order for people to go into or out of that school, if they end up, there's so many of them that they end up on Old Austin Highway in a large enough volume, it can shut down the traffic, flow. But, so
We need
people that
shoulder.
are coming. So let's say hypothetically that the traffic here is so extreme that you've got 30 cars stacked up on this road trying to get
Yeah,
into
for
there.
sure.
So you're gonna have some portion of those stacked up here.
Right.
That doesn't break that intersection so much. But if there's people stacked up here
Yes.
in this turn lane to go this way, you've got 20 of them, well, then they're gonna be,
It's gonna affect that.
this will just be completely shut down for the duration of those 20 cars to get out of the way. So, now,
Shoulder, turning lane, something
yeah,
like
is it
that.
just, actually, one of the most important things is the simulation and how it was, like, where is the traffic flow going to in and out of the school, right? And then the simulation of it. So one of the things is that, this
Can
is
you have him
a
zoom out of the
network
school? He
of
zoomed out of the
nodes,
school
and
and all
traffic
that.
moves between nodes. And then, so this is a node, and then there's another node over here, and there's a node right there that's invisible, and a node off here. So what's happening is cars are just showing up right here as like little white cars. This is just background map, like the traffic network that's on the screen has no awareness of what the background map is unless you put a node up there and make that an actual proper road. But right now, it's just a picture. The road is only this thing, but because there's a node on the road, what's happening is cars are getting like created out of thin air and they're just showing up right there.
It's because they're coming off of that.
Because they're coming off of that. That's exactly what,
Yeah.
so I can tell that the simulation has that traffic coming off of there. It's probably based off of the traffic counts that they took while they saw it on one particular day. But that thing that you're mentioning about stacking, if that stacking is gonna push off onto Old Austin Highway, which I've never been there to see it, so, but you have. And so that's the thing that I'm concerned about, is that your personal experience, if it stacks up on this road.
And even, so you have to look at where the kids are coming from. The parents are gonna be dropping them off as well.
Yeah.
Right? You do have people who come from 71 to hit the loop around and come back up, and they will make the right on Old Austin Highway to zoop right into the school. So to your point of stacking right there, that is a concern.
Yeah.
Right? Because we don't know how many people, and I'm
Yeah,
not
right
saying I
there.
discredit the program, but
Yeah.
like we're not.
1, 2, 3,
Yeah,
4,
reality.
you're 10 cars in and you're not walking the roundabout.
Well, but, my question, is anybody, when my kids went there, it stacked up out on the Old Austin Highway all the time. But that's been 5 years ago. Have they changed anything
No.
to make that
It's
not
still
happen?
stacks
Not
up.
only
So,
that,
but even then though, it doesn't, it affects that intersection because it meters the amount of cars that can get to it. But we're not,
Yeah.
you
The
know,
only
just
thing
like intermediate school backs out onto the Old
Well, that was my
Austin all
point,
the
yeah.
time.
That's
And I don't know
what I
what
was
they
gonna
call
say.
And
it.
it's more now
you know,
because
the other school,
there's
Yeah.
6th, 7th, and 8th
Because there's 3
grade.
grades there now.
And-
Yeah.
The only resolution to that is on-site stacking, which we tried to work with the school. And it's not an issue, but it's a city contribution that will happen, and I don't know how to legally help that, but they just did a giant detention pond. There's an opportunity to build a parking lot and their own internal roundabout over that detention pond and take that to underground detention, essentially. That would allow the parents to come in and out. Now, what the school has said, it doesn't matter how many parking lots we have, parents show up early. They want the easiest in and out route, so they're always by the street no matter what. So we would go through this exercise of adding a bunch of additional asphalt, modifying the drainage, but it's not changing parent behavior according to the school. So, but
And this very well might do it, and like, I'm not saying, like, we need to clean this up over here. in a
well, I'm
major
asking,
way.
he gave us the school portion of it on the other simulations. This one, he just zoomed in. So I'm seeing if he can send out the zoomed out
And
version.
but, you know, it very well could change a lot of the patterns of the parents if we are seeing the relief, because again, like we said, you were saying, yes, they get there an hour and a half before school because they wanna be in and out. They don't wanna have to sit there and wait for the traffic. They know the traffic's on the Old Austin Highway because you have multiple schools here. And even some jobs that are letting out, or people going to work at that time of the day. And so people get there so they can, you know, don't have to deal with the traffic that we have.
And I'll tell you.
But if it alleviates that a little bit, it, you know, may not stack as much.
Another thing they do is cut through Dunkin' Donuts, cause.
Oh, they do?
All the time.
Well, but one thing that also causes problems at the school is the fact that people get stopped at that stop sign and they get stacked up. 'Cause you get
They
one
Yeah.
chicken that won't go.
Yeah.
Right? And then,
Having that lane.
Right here.
it'll help a ton, and that will keep, you know, that'll keep the flow coming out of the school.
Out of the school,
Yeah.
but, you know,
Going into the school, this doesn't address it, because it doesn't, you know.
so flow going out of the school, maybe in the afternoons it'll work, right? The morning times
Yeah.
going into the school, those coming off the access road is gonna be problematic, just potentially.
Yeah, folks are
Because they have to go
using,
across the other lane of traffic to get up in there.
folks are using the Dunkin' and folks are using the other one over here
That's
by
right.
the,
Yeah.
Rush auto.
Yeah.
I'm
Rush
just
auto,
saying,
yeah.
the reality is when they have that roundabout, they're gonna be using those more to escape the roundabout and get back on the other way.
But
If it's still moving though. Cause
Okay.
I don't go that way because it just doesn't move, like you said, the chicken.
I go that way because this is dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't ever, when my children visit, I do not send them to that intersection. And that's because you got two other driveways, really three other driveways, all racing to get across 3 lanes of traffic, plus the traffic coming on 71. And that's,
Getting on- Yeah.
part of this is those 2 driveways are closing.
Oh, they're gonna close?
They're going to close because we've given, so the give with Mark was improve this driveway so his 18-wheelers can come in and out. And to Mr. Jefferelli, there's additional driveway off of Reed. So
Oh,
he's
okay.
able to utilize
Okay.
some of this area that he's using for detention right now for additional vacuums and
Okay.
things. It ends up being a benefit to him in that corner. We didn't end up touching anything with Scott's over here, and so really our work was these 2. When we talked to Scott, it was the other option that had the road coming behind the businesses, and we were gonna have to get right of way between Bryant and Griesenbeck, so that's sort of out of there. The issue that Mr. Bryant raised is you guys, with these driveways, you actually have 71 frontage, but you're not getting taxed as 71 frontage. And so there was a lot of heated conversation, but in the end, this benefits all, and they're super concerned right now is really not the roadway, because they see the additional traffic being a benefit to them. They are super concerned about our construction timeline
Sure.
and how they're going to have in and out accessibility, and for us not to take the businesses down so much.
Because the car wash is pretty detrimental.
yeah, you got dust flying, you know.
Yeah.
So how are we gonna do that, Sylvia?
That's a question of timing and, when we do construction, perhaps construction's only at night, or, that's
That probably would be the
a
better.
lot
option.
of conversation to have. And then, this is also probably the least amount of TxDOT right-of-way that we have to purchase. This is an expensive piece of property to purchase. It was over $700,000. So the lesser amount of that also brings down, that cost.
I think Sylvia, on your list that you're making about one, could you put down, about the construction timing and consideration for the businesses?
And to that point, you know, the people that make roads know how to do their job, right? But there's bound to be some sort of a, build all of it except for the roundabout. And then, you know, a 10-day window where you break up the ground, pull everything out of the way, everything's planned, execute, pull together, pour it, stripe it, back open. And I don't know if 10 days is, you know, too little, too much, but to actually phase the project so that that is done at a focused, concentrated time because of what it will do to the businesses. And then you may just have to tell them for these 10 days, you know, you're shut down your car wash probably. You know, it is what it is, but try to minimize that time.
The good news is too, that the rest of it is all new construction, so you don't have to deal with traffic.
Right.
The rest of the time.
Yeah.
So that part can be done, you know.
You're not gonna be, the roundabout's not gonna be a significant amount of days, I mean, that's gonna be a 3 to 5 day
Okay.
deal.
Yeah, so I was saying that, I looked up and saw you, I was like, oh, wait a second, we got one here.
It'll be quick, and I mean, that's a long, you know, a long extent, I mean, it could be a couple of days, but I mean, that worst case scenario, you're 3 to 5 days.
Right, well, so, but I would say
no
that,
more impact on his business than a 3 or 4 day rain.
As far as the traffic for the school, I mean, all that, I mean, if you're doing it at night, you can do it in summer. I mean, you know, we're not having as much traffic.
Yeah,
as the school, so
timing's critical, that's right, that's a
Yep.
great point.
So the estimate for this section of Blakey was $6.7 million. We have about 4.2 available for Blakey that we were able to move, sweep, that we didn't use. There were other borrows. So there'll be a little bit there. We're gonna see what, how the rest of Farm, Linden, and water end up to be able to sweep that as well. Now, that really goes to talk about the impact fees, which leads us right into segment number 2.
but before we go
Yeah.
on, just a
Mhm.
quick question, is there any portion of this that our team can build? And I don't mean the roundabout, but maybe everything, maybe the roundabout too, but, you know, everything but, or.
Come on.
Say that one more time?
Question is, you know, we've got the Reed Branch, you know, portion that goes north-south, the entire height of the property that's kind of off the screen there, that will connect to Blakey up at the top, and then kind of the continuation of Blakey. Is there any, can our internal, can your staff build those roads? And would we gain any efficiencies by doing it that way in cost?
The extension of Blakey definitely can be done, it's just a matter of the time and, you know, how quick we need it done.
So y'all already saw what all he's doing, he has planned to do.
Right, no, if you did this, then you'd have to not do that or add more staff or.
Pick and choose which one you're gonna do.
So,
Right.
no problem doing it, like, we just gotta figure out what's priority and how soon this one will be done.
Mhm.
And 4 days for a roundabout versus 21 days for a roundabout or something like that.
Yeah, I get it, but it's also, it doesn't fit.
Time versus
That's
money,
granted,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But then it's also if we could find a way to make it fit, maybe we could get it for, you know, 40% of
Yep.
the cost. You know, so that's the
Yep.
reason I even mentioned it is.
Oh, so, you know, there is a potential that we go, okay, we're moving staff to build Reed and Blakey, and with the other monies, the savings of the monies, they'll do the other streets that we have in town, which are less complicated, so to speak. We can certainly look at that.
Yeah.
So, this option also included, this is that stacking piece that we talked about.
Okay, yeah, I saw one of those.
So what we had talked about initially is you see this giant detention that they've built. This is relatively new.
Okay.
So one of the things that we talked about was, wow, if we allowed this to be filled in, you know, helped with that, that's an additional parking lot, that helps with the queuing, that helps with all of that. At the end of the day, it was like, yeah, that's probably not gonna change the behavior, but if we did something like this and work with the school so that folks are able to come in and out, and most of that queuing is happening on the school site. The problem that we heard from the school district was it's very difficult for them to mix kids in cars. It's okay in a public right of way. But it's really difficult with kids in cars internally. So this is this is probably not. But again, this is a policy conversation. This is a safety conversation. This is a conversation elected official to elected official. This is the conversation for you guys with the school board.
Sylvia, since you're on Jessica up there, if Jessica was open and the project goes forward with concept one or whatever, could we make it pretty critical and like, Jessica has to have improvements immediate, like that would be one of the first things we would do, would be the sidewalks for the safety for the kids, and just on Jessica, I just think that if that's not in place before all the other stuff, or at least at the same time, then we've kind of defeated what our whole goal was, to make it as safe as possible.
Yeah. You can see that we've got plenty of room for sidewalks. We have plenty of room for sidewalks. The Jessica, truly from the kids moving and walking along that roadway, Jessica's gonna need sidewalks on both sides.
Right, yeah.
There's a lot of residents that walk that too. Right, it's a mile and a half around the whole neighborhood. So they get, they utilize that as their personal track.
Okay.
No, to me, it makes no sense, there's no sidewalks there anyway, so.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have already been.
Right.
Well, back in the day, we used to say, okay, to save the developer some
Yeah.
money, they only have to add sidewalks on one side of the
Yeah,
road.
they didn't even do it on the one that's got the school on it.
Yeah.
On either side.
Where it made most sense.
Because you normally don't have sidewalks along arterials, you just don't, and that's, well, back then, anyway. Okay. Viv, what I don't see in here is the transportation impact fee. Yeah, I just need the A and B side so we can talk about, we talked about removing the bridge that was supposed to connect right at Fisherman's Park.
So we're done with section 2? So you're done with 2.
We're done with 2, yes, and 3A.
All right. Now we're on the 3B.
Impact fee.
Amendments for the impact fee reduction.
So we talked about removal of the bridge, and as we discussed, one of the developments, we said a 30% reduction was in order because we removed one of the most expensive pieces that was contributing to that impact fee. Since our, well, number one, that hasn't changed, but since our last discussion, we've had another development who was in a lawsuit with the city in 2021, that had a settlement agreement in Bastrop Grove.
Oh.
So that entire development is exempt from impact fees.
Wow.
So, one of the conversations, one of the developments was waive impact fees. You heard what Blakey's gonna cost, you heard how much we have, you heard if we don't do it, we're in a borrow situation. And so I really want us to think about the impact fees and only have staff send back to the engineers the 30%, if it's that, reduction of removal of the bridge that was gonna land at Fisherman's Park. And I'd like to leave the impact fee policy as is, with the reduction.
I sent you the capital plan that was associated with the most recent update to the impact fee. If you go to that on page 19, there's the list of transportation projects associated with the impact fee. It's delineated by service area A.
So A, we had Agnes, Bear Hunter, Blakey, obviously, Greenleaf Fisk, which is another east-west connector, Orchard Parkway, a north-south connector, but also It's a north-south connector that keeps you south of 71. That's the one next to Southside Market, yes. Burleson, if it's gonna end up connecting, 969, Hassler, Home Depot Way, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of these are going to be developer driven, right? As development happens, we're not gonna go out and ourselves intentionally go and create these roads or widen these roads or do any of those things. It's all developer driven.
And then on page 27 is the project cost associated.
And this was $25, late 25, early 26.
Yeah, that's the 25, yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
So service area A, about $65 million. Where's service area B, next page? Yep. Service area B, about $46.5 million. So over $100 million in road improvements that impact fees go toward. Again, completely developer driven. I don't want to scare anybody and say, we're gonna have to go borrow $100 million for roads, because that's not what I'm saying. It is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we need to be cognizant as developments come through. Sure, if we need to adjust the fees because some of these projects aren't gonna happen or aren't realistic or they're not gonna land, for sure, take it out and that adjusts the impact fee amount. But I really need us to hold the line, not just to build the roads that actually give relief, because if you recall, our code says if the developer can build it cheaper, we won't assess the impact fee. We'll accept the road that they build to our standard. So, you know, I think that's a very good out, but it's a burden that we're gonna place on future generations here.
So Sylvia, the other area, okay, you know, everyone here knows, you know, I've been a strenuous defender of these things and wanting to set the levels at the, you know, highest percentages and all that, which we ultimately did. On this list, you know, I see streets up there like Agnes Street and so I guess my only question is have we already done any of these such that we should also remove them?
Agnes Street is, so let me go to the map. Where's the map?
Yeah,
there?
like,
And possibly some of them have, right, because this was generated
Yeah.
in 2025.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
since
yeah.
then, you know.
right,
Yeah,
so.
I mean, Agnes is pretty well
Yeah.
done, to my knowledge.
Hospital to Schaefer for sure.
Yeah, so anyway, the combination of we're not gonna build the bridge at all, and then, you know, some of the roads are already built, so maybe we should revisit and strike, you know, 3 or 4 things instead of just the bridge.
Let me go to one. I'll pull the map.
And, because the other side to, you know, if we don't assess it, then future generations are gonna pay for it. Well, if we assess it too high and
Yeah.
development doesn't come,
Yep.
future generations are gonna pay for it.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's a balancing act. This is not a,
You wanna keep too much down the road.
yeah.
That's possible.
I don't know why it won't even let me adjust.
And are
the
all
page.
impact fees the ones that we can't touch after 3 years? Like, we can't increase them for 3 years, or is that just the water? Is that for road as well?
I'm
Yes.
not sure.
Yeah,
All
there's
of
a
them?
statute, well, there's a statute of limitations for the increase, yes, of impact fees.
For the
within a
increase?
certain amount.
We can
3 or 5
decrease them,
years.
right,
Yeah, decrease is one thing, but increase you have a cap, right?
for 3 years?
That's 35.
I can't remember if it's 3 or 5. It,
So there's that's Agnes. This segment of Agnes has been finished. A16, A2, A10. That's done. So we'll need to remove that. A15 and A1 are not. This one has, I don't want to call it a bridge, but there is a bridge.
Culvert to get over.
Yeah, that we need to get over at Hunter's Crossing. This gridded network within Bastrop West, that's gonna go away, and A17 and A3 will more than likely be built by Bastrop West
As their contribution, right?
as their contribution.
Right.
Carrie, you're correct, 3 years.
3 years?
Yes, ma'am.
And we did it in 25 already? So these were 25 numbers?
25.
So,
We can reduce them sooner than 3 years, but not increase them.
and newly annexed areas are on that list, or soon to be annexed areas?
That's
I
what
don't
we
remember.
incorporated when we did the update.
Then the 25,
Yeah.
so like,
Iron.
even Ironwood's in there?
Mhm.
Okay.
So this is where we said, A14, A7, and B7 are not gonna happen.
A14,
A7 and B7.
7, B7,
Mhm.
no.
And then, what about, Puerto Plata?
That's gonna be a Valverde contribution
Okay, so they're paying for that. Okay.
in a swap of impact fees probably.
The 1.9, the.
Stranded assets.
Stranded assets from off, yeah. We'll have to figure out how that works, because that's two different funds.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
And we need to have a systematic way to account for if they build it in lieu of fees. Yes, we remove it in the sense that it doesn't need to be done anymore, but,
That is a cost we took,
but it still needs to be somehow paid,
accounted for.
accounted for.
Mhm.
So it's probably not 1-to-1, but 1 to something. There should be
Because it
some
has
sort
a
of a
value.
discount
Yep,
rate.
it has a value.
What do you mean it needs to be accounted for?
Well, it's
I'm
a
not
value
disagreeing,
we
I'm not quite
forwent.
following.
It's a
Right.
value we forewent.
So
if you-
it's impact fees that we didn't collect, that we intended to collect, but we got a road built.
Mhm.
So if you just take away the cost of the road without somehow accounting for the lack of collection of the impact fee, then I don't know what that, there should be some discounting going on there. I don't know what it is.
Well, but the other thing is that if we assume, for the sake of discussion, that they can do it cheaper than we can,
Right, oh,
then we end up, because we could only charge them up to 50% of the cost of the road,
right.
right?
That's why there's a discounting that I don't know what it is.
Yeah, but if they can do it for half the price, then we got the whole road for only the impact fee and our citizens paid nothing.
And if that were the case, then probably removing it and accepting the not getting, that's probably the even point.
Yeah.
So so whatever the delta is there is probably something that you leave in or take, yeah. I don't know.
And some of this will be getting updated with the updates in our master transportation plan,
Mhm.
right? We'll start to whittle away the streets that aren't applicable are.
Yeah.
And then that'll inform these costs.
So, for the September, is it the 8th, the first meeting in September? My intent is to
Yes.
bring the final draft budget, the rate, everything that we need, because you gotta adopt it by the end of September. So, but what I can do between now and then, we can either, one, have another couple hour workshop, not a massive workshop, and we can do it before a council meeting to bring you the finalized transportation impact fees and those things, because it really should be adopted as part of the budget, because it's gonna be an expected impact to revenues.
Sophia, is that done annually on impact right now?
Mm-mm.
Is it every 3?
At least every 3, but
Okay.
normally every 5.
Okay.
Does it need to go to impact fee for first?
Mm-hmm.
So A7, B7 goes away, right?
A7, B7, yes.
What is A14?
That is, let me go to that.
It's a widening. I see. So that may go away too.
Hassler,
A14.
Old Austin to the Colorado River.
So we can definitely request that to modify the study of the capital, right,
Mhm.
and reduce, but as far as actually updating it, there's a really stringent timeline in the Texas Local Government Code for, so I don't know that with the update and then needing that notification.
Well, no, it's gonna be a recommendation to them, and then we still have to go through,
The process.
yeah.
Perfect.
I just want them to know the impact it's gonna have in the budget.
So I would guess if Hassler from Old Austin to,
The Colorado
20.
River.
well, no,
This is
21. So that's gonna be HEB, First National Bank corridor. That probably needs to be widened anyway.
What number are you on?
Regardless of whether we build a bridge across the river from there or not.
Old Austin to State Highway 21?
Yeah. Wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm, that's HEB.
Yep, that's a mess already. So we can leave that in, I'd say.
What's that, 814?
I think it was 814. Yeah.
Right there.
Chicken Express stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is also, this is really also the property that the county purchased.
Yeah, we can't go through there anyway,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, and that was gonna end up at the park. You're gonna
That's it. That's gonna-
drop a bridge off in the park. That would- None of that made any sense. Now, I can see us having to do Mesquite at some point. Pass it over.
Yeah, no, like it's definitely something, another access across.
Yep. Yeah, we need something on the north side, but I don't know where.
Okay. 4A, water wastewater. Andres, what do you want me to bring up for you?
Unless you have something specific, we covered majority of it yesterday.
Yeah, just give them a quick refresher.
No new, we're working on all the existing, and we have very little new projects that we're gonna bring forward until we do the water rates.
Yep.
The water rate, wastewater rates, same with street. We hit all of those yesterday.
Okay.
Unless you got something to do.
Do we wanna, we, just a quick update with street projects? Lance, I know you feel like talking again. No, we're good?
No, I mean.
Oh, well, so he touched 2026. Let him touch his little 2027.
2027.
Yeah.
Alright,
Where is his map?
It's the. He's got his costs there. Where is his map?
I think it might be that.
We had it yesterday.
Yeah, I think it might be this.
27.
It was a PDF, wasn't it? Street improvements.
Yeah.
Okay. It's 2027. All right, Lance.
Okay, so we've got in-house total, we've got contract total, and then we've got street breakdown. Again, like was mentioned yesterday, they're not in specific orders yet for 2027 and the projection dates due to what we're gonna finish up in 2026 and what's gonna overlap to move forward into 2027. Where Gutierrez is, that whole square over there where Policy Bell and Jasper are, all that whole area will be new, will be completed, where the fleet facilities area is, where the church is. There's a few businesses that are kind of backside of College and Gutierrez. So that whole area is gonna be completely new. That's where that come from. All the data here, we touched on it yesterday, from the Edgetal, the new platform that we're using to monitor the conditions of the roads. That's how the list was picked, and that's what was determined what the worst roads were, in the city, and how it was broke down to complete. you can tell by the dollar amounts probably which ones are contract related. So Wilson, dollar amount there, so that's gonna be contracted out. And that is the long stretch, that runs into Mesquite, on the backside. So basically from where the railroad tracks are, it runs all the way north to Mesquite Street. So that is gonna be a complete rebuild, from milling, base, and new asphalt. So that's the most expensive project that we have. And we have, earlier in the year, a couple of months ago, finished the first part of Wilson that went up to Cedar Street. So from Farm Street to Cedar, that was redone. We have a stretch going to the railroad track from Cedar to the railroad track that is good, that's been seal coated already. So it all ties in, it looks the same. And then from the railroad track to Mesquite, where the new additions going in, Riverside, we've had a lot of meetings out there with that. All that area right there is getting redone. Due to the construction taking place still, heavy trucks coming in, houses getting built, we do not want to do that road until that's done. So, because we don't want to tear the road up as they do the construction. And then Mesquite will be discussed at a later date, because once all that's completed, Mesquite is horrible. We all know that going into 95, and that's gonna be in the future. In the next year, we'll have discussions on, when we can tie in Mesquite, and then that whole block area will be new. The other areas on here with some of the small dollar amounts from Cypress Hill, Austin, we've got it broke down roughly how many feet that the roads are, because some of the areas, some of the road is good, some of it's been done in the past with HA5 and been sealed, and then some of it just needs to completely be reworked by us in-house. All of the work in-house on this layout is complete new road rebuild. It's not refurbishing, it's complete mill and new asphalt, so it'll be a complete new street in these sections. Some of the areas also go around Fireman's Park, where we're doing some of the new paving right now with the new parking lots. And so we'll tie in when we tear those roads up into the new parking lots as far as Austin and then Hill, that runs beside it. So that's just kind of a quick blow through on that. If y'all got questions, ask.
The only question I have, and it's probably Lance, you may not have this, because it's about sidewalks going in conjunction. Do we have any, as far as going north past the railroad tracks, anything planned to extend sidewalks? Because once you get up to the tracks, on most of them, you end the sidewalks, except on Pine and places like that.
We had not discussed sidewalks, but we can definitely visit that if there's a particular street.
For sure, Wilson. It's just kind of sad how we end everything with the railroad tracks.
Yeah, and you have a whole subdivision over there that.
I'm gonna overlay, we worked on a sidewalk plan at the rodeo. At the Code Rodeo, yeah, we overlaid a sidewalk, we worked on a sidewalk plan. I know there's a layer.
And I know like Cedar past Church Street, Church or Wilson, I forget which.
Yeah.
There's no sidewalks
No
there. We got,
sidewalk,
and that, the high school kids getting off, that's.
Yeah.
They're
So-
walking down the street all day.
We have briefly discussed, we've had some quick meetings and talked about the sidewalk plan moving forward. There are definitely some areas that we would like to put sidewalks in. Some, however, due to the layout of the city and the I don't know how you want to classify it, but some of the drainage, we talked about drainage yesterday, as far as a lot of the ditch drainage, and not underground drainage. Just like Mesquite going up to the park, the new housing addition, that going in where Wilson and Mesquite are, getting up to where the park is. It'd be nice to have sidewalks, all that, due to the terrain, the hills, the slope, and then the available right of way. So some of the properties that we have, the old historic additions and stuff, the right of ways are not real big. So we're limited on the room, the space to be able to pour. Now is a minimum of, 4 to 5 foot sidewalk with the ADA regulations and whatnot. Some of the subdivisions have 3 foot sidewalks that are old and some of them not even usable anymore. Yeah. But we can't go back with that 3. It's gotta be, if we redo it, we gotta go to the ADA standard. So We would like to do some of the areas that we just gotta look into the logistics of it. Is it even feasible without having to, make some of the drainage go underground and then put concrete over the top of it? And then that
even
can
if
create a
some
whole
of
other
those-
issue.
I don't, just thinking, right, because I know the biggest concern they're talking about, what I'm talking about, is just people having that access.
Right.
Right? And if we can't necessarily do sidewalks, what other options do we have, just to give a directed walking space?
Right.
Right, you know?
You, yeah.
And not
I mean-
saying, but I'm like, I just, you know, throw that out there for.
Yeah, and
you
if
know,
we
just
had,
thoughts or
if we
perspectives.
had wide roads and availability to make the roads wider even, then that would be an option to maybe even paint, you know, have walking stripe, you know, on the
Yeah.
sides of the road. It's just some of the neighborhoods, the roads are so narrow anyway. And with the parallel parking, you know, being done in front of the houses right there, it's limited. It's just a discussion we gotta, you know, kind of put all our heads together and figure out what's the best route in the areas that are able to be, you know, crunched and then we can definitely look at those options for sure.
So we can, we have Data Point Surveying who usually does most of our surveying very quickly. We can send them this sidewalk plan. I can get a price on how much that is to come back to you and say, this is where it's feasible to put a sidewalk in terms of width, not saying it's doable with terrain, but in terms of width, where we wouldn't have to acquire any right of way. And then if there's areas where right of way is necessary, it may be possible that the resident says, okay, I'll give you the right of way in exchange for a sidewalk. So, I'm sure it'd be under $100,000, but.
So one little section up, because when the mayor and Councilmember Lowe and I were at the senior center, you've got a sidewalk, so that's London Street. And going all the way through, you've got a little sidewalk from the senior center up to a certain point off London, and then there's no sidewalk. And the lady in the wheelchair that lives on the, what side would that be, north, south, the west side of London Street, can't even get in her wheelchair from the senior center to her house, because
Yeah.
the sidewalk ends.
And I mean, there's plans to fix the road, but like, that was her thing. She's in a, come around and she has no sidewalks and has to
And the sidewalk's pretty bad too, it's really bad.
shake up her drink on the way over there.
And in areas where a sidewalk is impossible for whatever reason, drainage, terrain, whatever, would you like us to explore an area where this is walking space? Because what that turns into is no parking on one side of the road.
Right.
Well, I mean, just like an answer like that works for me too, but like, what are the thoughts on that? And it's.
No, I mean, if we're okay with saying there's not gonna be any parking on this side of the road because it's a walking path, then,
Oh, yeah, that's a discussion that we definitely need to have further, not something I would just say.
Yeah, probably shouldn't just
Yeah.
throw that out there here.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah, probably not throw that out there here, we
Probably case
discussed
by case
that.
basis.
Yeah.
okay, so we'll start with the survey.
Yeah, we'll get a survey.
Will you send this to Data Point? So red is where we need sidewalk, I believe. Let me see this.
Yeah, I think red was neat, I think blue is
God.
or current, I believe.
Green is wishful.
Road, sidewalks conceptual. So red is where we want sidewalks.
And blue is where there's existing sidewalks. And it may be on one side or the other, it's just blue is advocating there's a sidewalk in that area.
And there is on this segment of Blakey, there's sidewalk already, right?
Yes, this was done in 23.
24?
Yeah, it's for sure
25,
sidewalk along that whole road there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fixing it tore up by the trees.
We'll update you.
But it's there now.
There was sidewalk.
Yeah, it used to be.
And there's, you know what? There's that Jessica Place sidewalk.
Yep.
Been talking about it for a few years.
Yeah.
The same with downtown, like you can see downtown, I think we talked about like Pecan, you can walk some areas and then there's like a sidewalk that
Yeah,
stops,
that's
and then
a
you gotta pick it back up.
Sidewalk to nowhere.
Same with Pine, I think Pine and Pecan were the two
Yeah,
that were
pine, yeah.
trying to connect, and you have the red red areas.
Yeah. But, Church and Wilson and, like I say, that one block of Cedar there would make a big difference for high school.
Looks like Pecan's the only one that has a sidewalk all the way through it.
And Willow too,
What does that
because
say?
Willow is going down to the park, and you see people walking down the middle of the street to go to the park. and
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
Willow's all red, no sidewalk
You
whatsoever.
gotta-
I mean,
you gotta
that's
think of
one of
park where
those
you're gonna go walking and exercising. and
street
no way to
width
get there.
and bar ditch situations on
Right,
Willow, right?
it's bad,
yeah,
but we need
it's-
to fix it.
And
Yeah.
Carter only goes to the railroad, so if you can get a
Right.
sidewalk, then you're done, because
Amazing.
don't you go north of the tracks at all.
Put in 3-foot sidewalks.
Mhm.
I'll get it to data. We'll get something.
Mhm. Okay,
Lance, I have a question about your previous slide. All of those are reconstruction. That's not HA5 stuff. Those are all
Correct.
like significant reconstructions. Are we
Yes.
like laying off HA5 for a while, or is that just a
No.
whole different? We're gonna
There's Willow is actually I got guys, we're crack sealing right now. So the week of the 17th, which this is 2027, that we're looking at now, but 2026, so the week of the 17th of this month, Bennett Paving will be coming in and sealing that street, so it's HA5's comparable to what they're doing, so that way, it'll match up. So we've got a little section, right there that's not, and so that way it'll all tie together and it'll match up. We do have a few other areas that we'll be working on, in-house throughout the year, that need the crack sealing to be done, and then once we crack seal, fill utility cuts in. The sealing is not a lengthy period, I mean, they'll be able to do their part in a matter of like 2 to 3 hours. So it's a real quick,
yeah, we don't have any more large neighborhoods for HA5 now, it's as we're going, but it is, remember, maintain, rehab, small cuts, fix, and then complete reconstruction.
Yeah.
And so,
We're getting to the good stuff.
yeah,
And as far as just what she mentioned, like on the small cuts, whatever, periodically, every week, we have utility cuts, like water, wastewater, there's a line they gotta go repair, something that needs to be replaced, what have you. And they'll do their part to fix that and then fill it up with base. And then we have utility repair cuts that we do, we go in and square them up, and we do those like every 2 weeks, maybe once a month, it just depends on the number. So we're always periodically dropping those in. But when we do those, that is complete new asphalt that's filled in to match up the existing asphalt, so that way we can get longer lifespan out of it. And then that runs, the 5 to 7 year time frame before they would have to be, some more rehab into it. What else?
thank you, Lance.
All right.
Sir.
Thanks. All right. Now, on to our future goals.
Here we go.
I feel like I gotta put that
All
up.
right. Yeah, that's right on there, let's talk about the recreation center.
I know that is, I know that that's been on everybody's mind. You did approve the study with the Y. They're off to the races, and that study shouldn't take longer than 6 weeks. My question to you is, and I know we're gonna talk to the community about it, but when we talk about recreation center, are we talking like an $80 million recreation center? Or are we talking a $20 million recreation center? What are we talking about? And Jason's smirking over there because he's gonna have to maintain the recreation center. And then location, where are we thinking, where would we like to incorporate it? I know everybody wants it to be downtown, but, I don't know that I can get it there. So thoughts?
It's not.
Concerns?
We can have it somewhere close to it, but like, we need room for an ideal. I don't wanna have a recreation center that we're having to have future council members or people be responsible for it as far as improvements or upgrades, right? I'd like to knock it out if we can, or at least have plans set in motion to where future council members we have funding for it, or we have avenues to where we can add. But like, I don't wanna do something small where we're just satisfying people. And I just don't see us having room for that in downtown outside of where the convention center is. And that's still not enough room for what the people want and what I think we should have for a recreation center. So that's just my opinion.
What about the DSI bill? I know it's whatever million,
Mhm,
but
3.8
it
million.
was sold.
What is DSI?
It's right next
The
to
building
the
right by the hospital, off of Hawthorne.
North of the
13
tennis
acres.
courts.
Where the tennis courts are.
13 acres, or 8 acres. Oh, let me see.
Is that building bigger than the convention center?
That building would have to be
That
torn
building
down.
would be done.
The space.
But just the space.
It's
Acres.
17,000 square feet as it exists right now. I'm not saying that's enough by any means, but I'm just saying that area is a great area because you connect with, you don't have to get on the road.
It'd be
highway.
great when it was free.
I think if
Well-
you're gonna build a rec center like that, you want accessibility to be pretty easy
Has
as
to be
well.
easy, for sure.
Right, so that's a big part of
For
it.
seniors and youth.
Yeah.
Right out of school. Yeah. I heard that contract, didn't they, security?
I think it's that. I think it's, yeah.
It's 67, right?
So that's 3.4 and that's 8.4. It's 11. Ish acres.
So what, for a while, it seemed like the tentative plan was to use the convention center after, after we open up a new convention center out on the highway, which would potentially be Bastrop West. Why is that not still preferred? I mean, it still seems like that could happen, like just sort of like naturally.
So, well, I mean, just my thoughts, and I'm not saying it came, but my thoughts on it is that what we're gonna do to German casino over there, since I was gonna take up some space that probably we could try to use for the convention center. We don't know when that hotel and convention center is gonna happen, right? I think we're in a demand for a recreation center, and if we can get one before this, we'll have this commitment of that. That's just, I mean, and I'm not
Okay.
taking away from where you're saying, but that's.
No,
just my thoughts
so
that's
what
running through my
you're,
head.
so I think that what I'm hearing is the difference between what you're saying and what I was saying
Okay.
is about timing. Is that the only way to do it the way that I said requires waiting until that other thing is built
Right.
and the convention center becomes
Right.
available, which is true, like that's absolutely factual. So you're proposing it not because the convention center is not a good site, it's because it's not fast enough.
I think
Right.
there's still gonna be
We're-
very much a need for the convention center to be
Yeah.
a civic space.
I concur.
Yeah.
Not but, and, Smithville, they got basketball courts that you can move stuff out of the way and they put a bunch of seats up and turn it into a gym for a dance or, so I don't, in my head, I don't require that a recreation center can't be used as a civic center. I think you could do dual purpose that too.
Especially with the size of the parking lot, and I don't think you need that big of a parking lot with a rec center
Mhm.
that gives additional space to build onto it, I guess. But, I mean,
Well,
Let me just throw, is there
the parking
a
lots.
world where the convention center and hotel does not happen? Because if that doesn't happen, there's no sense in talking about the convention center being used for something else.
I mean, I would say that everything's possible, including
Right,
that world.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, I would.
But I
discount the fact
figure that as we're talking about, annexation and Bastrop West and that project
Mhm.
coming together, that, over the next year, say, 12 months from now,
Mhm.
the possible futures will be more limited in number than they are today.
The uncertainty cone will.
Yeah, it
shrink
starts
on
to,
it.
filter in. But you are talking about a time frame of a year, 18 months, 2 years, before you even know what the probable futures are,
Absolutely.
right? Because it might be 8 years from now.
Right.
If
Oh,
you wait,
no.
no, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
for that hotel convention center to get built is,
Right.
I don't know, was it a
Right.
2-year project? And I just made that up, but,
Right.
to get to the point to where they start,
Yeah.
if that's 3 years from now, or, it's.
And it won't be until then that you have a move-in / move-out date for the
Right.
convention center,
Yeah.
current
Yeah.
convention center.
Yeah.
So I guess timelines are a big question.
That's what, timeline?
No,
I think-
no.
Well, we still
Money-
don't.
Money's our big.
Well,
No.
we still have money in the
No.
property.
No, no.
What do you say no to?
No, my question to you, the original question was, the scope of a
Yeah.
recreation center.
Okay.
And because when we started along this path, the convention center was the spot.
Mhm.
And I had a text from you, I'll bring it up, where you said, I'm in Smithville, we gotta have that, and I went, yeah, you're right, that fits. And so now that's morphed into, we need more.
Yeah.
And I hear you, but what is the tolerance level for more? Because more means fees, because they gotta be able to pay for it, it cannot be free.
No. And I
We
don't
got
want
to be able to pay
encumber
for it.
the taxpayers. I do not want to burden the taxpayers.
And so, when I talk about scope, I talk about, okay, how much do we have room for? We talked about yesterday, Sendero, and the additional sales tax that would bring, and me give you a number, and then I went, oh, we're still under the current agreement where they get 100%. So ixnay, I don't need to bring y'all any other monies on sales tax.
Well,
So-
Longhorn and, I mean, there's others that aren't.
Well, so
Yeah.
Longhorn and the stuff that's in Burleson, but it's not in the hundreds of thousands.
No, it's not as high, I agree.
Yeah.
So Sylvia, tell me, with your
Yeah.
question you're posing, tell me the range. We were 20 million or Lazy River? 80
Yeah,
million?
and that's my question, and so, my feeling is, all things remain current, and we don't give away the farm.
Right.
We hold, with a modified impact fee, we hold any additional borrowing that isn't quote-unquote necessary, right? We said the golf course is gonna sit for a bit because it has a $5 million capital expense to it. And unless I can get a grant or something like that,
Or
we're gonna sit
partner
on it,
or
or a partner or something like that, we're gonna sit on it for a little bit. We also said we're not looking at a police expansion, we're not looking at fire department we're not looking at any of those expansions, we're kind of holding capital in the general fund down. And so that being said, the hope is in about 3 years, we'll have another $15 to $20 million borrow in the fund without any major increases, right? All things remaining equal, we don't hit a COVID, we don't hit a whatever. And so that's what I need to understand. What is the overall goal so that we can plan toward it, or at least begin to make moves internally for it? Look for a partner, look for, the other possibility is in Bastrop West, they had committed, there's a 13-acre site that they had committed, and it's a public improvement district. And so that is an absolute awesome funding mechanism that could help us get a center, get some space, but it's not in downtown.
Right.
Right, no, and I agree. Like, that's the spot that it can be. What I think we realistically need to do, definitely figure out what exactly we want. Look
much
at
money
options,
we have.
right, look at
That's
options.
gonna
of-
be
yeah.
where we start.
Yeah, and then look at options of maybe where we wanna have it and have those plans, so whenever it does, we get that kickstart.
Yeah.
Like, we can move it, we won't have to sit here and discuss and deliberate and be like, well, we're planning for over here, and it's gonna work here, or a little bit of this can work here, so that we can move forward with it. It's.
I would love the DSI site, I really would, but from an EDC hat, right, that's a prime commercial space for somebody. The conversation in Bastrop West, I know has a lot to do with connectivity and getting people to there, but it's probably gonna be the most financially feasible if we can marry the Bastrop West, and that does not have to wait until the Hotel Convention Center is built. That simply waits for the annexation and the PID to be created. That is a much shorter timeline than waiting for the hotel to be in place.
Could you show me on the map, please, where we're talking about?
No, and this is,
Can you send me
I
the
look at it
Bastrop
as,
West
this
PID?
could be an
Yeah.
opportunity for.
The Bastrop West layout?
For carts to get more involved in the city, right? Because carts can have certain pickup spots in their neighborhood or runs that they do in the neighborhood where they're dropping people off at the rec center, especially if it's an integral part of the community, right? Like it.
And really integrated with the school system.
Well, and to Sylvia's point, we did have some folks that came in just to look at the civic center that we have right now currently, and they're whole firms, half associates, and I think with Brinkley Sargent, was really, they looked at the facility and they're saying, okay, we could probably fit 2 high school basketball courts in here with classes but that's pretty much the extent of it. And so if there's, there's more palette for additional things, I think that's where Sylvia is.
Yeah, and I understand that you want the possibility for expansion and not burden, additional councils. And I get that, right? There's an economy of scale to knowing what you want today. I also know councils go, well, that was a stupid idea.
Yeah.
Why would we have ever done that?
How do we back out of that?
And how do we back out, right? So that's kind of why I don't want to.
So
I'd like to get it knocked out.
So I'm contemplating that the most important question is the financial one. And then you've got timing that also factors into it as well. Because, our library, for instance, costs us nearly $1 million a year in ongoing maintenance, right? So we can't just look at it, as soon as we generate, $2 million in additional taxation, we can borrow for this much and not harm the taxpayer. Because you still have to pay the $1 million a year to maintain the new thing that we would do, right?
And our rec center is gonna be way more than a library.
Yeah, and so, I feel like we have to factor that in, so, cause we could be looking at, so risky. Okay, well, when our sales tax grows by $2 million more a year, which by the way, we will eat up as it grows with new spending, then we'll spend it on new debt, but it won't be available to spend on new debt. So that.
Well, that's why my point is, I need to understand where you want to go.
Yeah, I get
so
it.
that we plan that way.
Now, you made a statement in the ballpark of, no, I don't want the residents to have to, something.
Right, well.
And what is that? Explain to me that full thing. Like, what is it you don't want to happen, or what is it you do want to happen in terms of how it gets paid for, either on a recurring basis or by tax rates, or like, what are your thoughts on that?
So I wanted to sit with Sylvia. Sylvia posed the question to all the people there. It was at El Nuevo. And said and she gave a scenario, and she actually we had it on our website for a while, and Sylvia about the cost to the people. And if we have a $20 million facility, this is the possibility of addition to your taxes. If we have an $80 million facility, so it got up there to $600 a year.
Yeah, $680 for an $85 million extra.
Got it.
And very few people rose their hands that they would take that on. I know many people in this city that absolutely can't afford that, that you would price them right out of the city. So I'm super concerned about that, John.
Okay.
Oh, she means from a tax rate, not a paying.
No, that's why I'm asking the question, to clarify.
Yeah.
So then, if the Cadillac one was $600 a year, sorry, and then the one that was 1/3 that is $200 a year, was that still too much?
Well, I don't know what the scenario was. I don't know what the numbers. Do we have the numbers that we had on the?
Well,
You're just saying where do you want to run?
Yeah, I know, because you spoke up,
Yeah.
because, obviously it has to be paid for, right? And so we either save money for the next 20 years in a checking account, or savings account, and then buy it. Or you take out debt to do that, but that debt has to be serviced in some way.
And what I want us to think about is 75% of the people that use the rec center do not live in the city of Bastrop.
Okay.
So I don't think it's fair I don't even think it's fair to burden with $200, honestly. I really don't.
Okay.
Because people are not contributing outside of the city that are using it.
So then that would imply a service fee, like a monthly fee.
Oh, absolutely.
Instead of taxing the residents, is that what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
So.
I think it has to be, it's gonna end up being a combination of both.
Yeah.
Right, it has to be,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, and so, are you thinking in terms of like a service fee for this? Are you thinking in the, $30 a month range?
Well, that's what we have
So
now.
I'm looking at something now,
28,
right, and then Jason, I'm looking at the city of Burleson, he's looking at Ruffles.
Yeah.
But to me, it's pretty reasonable
You have to
membership
stay
rates that
reasonable,
they
just
charge.
What does reasonable mean then?
$55 a month for a family.
For a family.
Okay.
For a family.
Right, for the annual contract is $556 for the year. For family residents, outside of residents is $750. Get military discounts, but New Braunfels is a little bit, They're not, well, they're 57 a month, but it's up to 4 family members. This one doesn't have an amount, a restriction.
And just from
So-
doing this for 40 years, I can tell you, there is a cap for what people are gonna pay. Now, you're gonna have the lifetime fitness people. And Lance, you know that too, because they'll pay for the Cadillac of everything, right? But a majority of our people are not those people, right?
Right.
They're not, and that's not who we serve.
So I'm really glad we had this conversation because I didn't know how to place the words that you said earlier. I thought you meant we can't charge monthly.
Oh, no.
Right, no, but that's why I brought it up, is
Okay,
because
yeah.
it's like the money's gotta come from somewhere. And so, you know, where are you, and the thing is I mean, I pay for a gym monthly.
Yes, you do.
With cash. And I'll keep doing that, and it just doesn't matter to me, right, personally. So I'm trying to figure out, you know, what's the conventional wisdom of the group in terms of where the money comes from. And then once you've identified where the money comes from, then that helps you scope how big of a pot it is, right?
Totally, yes.
And then once you know how big of a pot it is, then you can kind of know what you can afford to then answer your question of what is it we're gonna do?
Well,
Right?
yes, but for me, there's a little bit of reverse engineering in that,
Yeah.
in that, okay, if the median, like, if one of you can pull up Prophecy and say, benchmark the 5 cities nearest Bastrop size and tell me how much they charge for recreation center fees.
Elgin and Smithville are pretty.
So, you know,
close to what we were
on average, I can take the number of out-of-towners that are using our
Mhm.
recreation center, give it some sort of multiplier because this will be a bigger facility,
Right.
go,
Mhm.
okay, this is the revenue expected from that, and then sort of back my way into that and go, okay, I can reasonably deliver a $20 million rec center.
Mhm.
I cannot reasonably deliver an $80 million rec center without a tax rate increase, without a blank voter
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
approval, blank.
But then even calling something a $20 million rec center,
That's
I-
just the build.
Yeah.
right, but I don't know what that includes.
Yeah.
And what,
Right, and-
exactly. Does
right.
it include what we really?
Yeah, I mean, is that-
Yeah.
That gets us a dark gym
Yeah.
that you can
On
wheel.
concrete.
On concrete that you wheel,
Bleachers on, yeah.
your weight equipment out, you know, for part of the day and you wheel it back off for people to play basketball, then that's enough, right?
Yeah.
If
But
you
I mean,
can-
if you could get, I mean, honestly, you do contemplate something like the Smithville Rec Center, you know, 2 basketball courts.
Elgin's nice too. Yeah.
I haven't seen that one
It's
yet.
really great.
You know, the bleachers that you can look like a high school gymnasium.
Rolls out, rolls
Yeah,
in.
rolls out, rolls in,
Yeah.
and you use the space for multiple purposes. They've got a 55-degree temperature racquetball court. One of them, it's freezing in there, but it's awesome. But, you know, a couple of weight rooms that had no air conditioning, which was weird, because they were right across the hall from each other. But, yeah, it was like a broken AC on that side, yeah. But, I mean, you know, I would be very interested actually in getting like usage statistics from Smithville. And even you know, for the life of it, to the extent they have it, but, you know, are they seeing it grow over time, or are they seeing, you know, their population is growing, but the use of it isn't, you know,
I
just.
think you should look at Elgin
Okay.
also, because Elgin
Sure.
is much
Yeah.
more active than
Anything we
Smithville.
got.
Okay, yeah.
Their programming in Smithville has not been great. Let's remember too, Smithville and Elgin were built with FEMA money.
Right,
And
we
I
built the
think-
senior center.
Yeah.
And that's,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly
Yes.
right, that's what we did.
Yeah.
But like Smithfield's rec center is what, 30 years old?
Yeah.
And like they haven't done much of anything, upgrades, and you hear it from the people all the time. They don't have the funds down there,
Yeah.
right? Elgin, again with the FEMA money.
They're active.
And they're active because they have, you know, a couple of basketball courts and a
Well,
few
they also
meeting
have a
rooms.
growing economy
They have a
too.
growing economy, but they don't,
Yeah.
there's probably room over in Elgin for it to expand with what's around there, but right now, I mean, that's just,
Yeah.
it's,
And they make great
So
use
far.
of their space. And I'm talking about programming. and
Could
what they
we-
offer.
Could we ask the city of Elgin to host us for a tour and a discussion about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, since they did it recently, they're demographically as close to us as we're gonna find in the world.
Mayor, will you reach out to Teresa?
yes.
And what would you, if you had it to do over again, what would you do different? Those kind of questions. you know.
Shirts versus skins, you said?
Yeah.
And it's just really for me, the amenities, what are we
What are you
gonna put in
gonna
there?
get?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Whatever they spent, what does that get you? Let's walk around and
Yeah.
see.
And
and-
6
Is it
weeks
a
we'll have the
pool?
info
You
from the
know what I'm trying
YFCA
to do?
study.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can we do that?
Yeah.
And if we build it elsewhere, then
The Elgin
we'll
is-
be ready for the
so
convention center
Elgin is
phase
14,000 square feet.
of whatever we
Smithfield is
missed.
30.
You know what I mean?
It's large.
That's what Google is saying.
That's very deceptive when you.
Yeah, the eyeball test.
Yeah.
But it probably
just goes to
looks
show.
bigger because it's
Yeah.
more
Yeah,
upright
totally.
and it's newer,
Yeah.
right? The
Elgin was
Smithfield-
built with FEMA dollars, Smithville was not. The renovations were built, were
Okay.
FEMA dollars.
Yeah, because that's an old building.
Yeah.
Are we gonna get a 55-degree racquetball court?
Hang meters.
This is so old.
Currently, it's 25 a month in Elgin for membership,
For a person?
35 for non-resident, and then 200 a year for resident, and 300 for non-resident at Elgin.
But individuals and families?
That's not bad.
Well, for what you get, right?
Right.
Basketball court and meeting room, maybe some workout stuff.
And I think family's really close to what you were saying, the building is with the both on the 50 to 55. But you absolutely hit, there is a very, very definite line of what people can.
Yeah, there's
Very
a,
much.
yeah, exactly. Just like with our impact fees, there's a line at which
Totally.
it becomes counterproductive.
Yeah.
Does it say senior discounts on there? Because we have so many seniors.
No, there's senior discounts on all of
Family
these.
up to 4 is 400 a year or $50 a month for resident, 500 a year or $60 a month for non-resident. There's a military discount, there's a senior discount. Senior is 160 a year or $20 a month for resident, 260 a year or $30 a month for non-resident.
And I think too,
Should
there's
I use
also the
prophecy for
census
that?
programs
I
that
love it.
are looking at
That's
each of
right,
those that
yeah,
may not be-
yeah.
and we'll chart those things.
That's
So-
right.
So
All
then,
right.
what I basically hear on this whole thing is that we create a model for a funding mechanism that comes from, whatever the city can provide, with our resources, and then what we can model in terms of people joining said gym and providing monthly fees to it, and then handle the building of it and then the maintenance of it. And then that kind of rolls up into a cost, and
if some developer at some point comes along and says, well, we'll contribute this to that, then add that to it and see what that'll,
Yeah, what is YFCA?
call it found money. If a
yeah.
government program comes out where a grant can be had to do wellness things or whatever,
Santa can come.
yeah, exactly.
Money tree, yeah.
Santa Claus.
We haven't said the word pool at all.
Well, that's gonna be.
That all-
That needs to be in there,
Okay.
but like, that's gonna cost money, but we need to look at that.
Yeah, I mean, I know what Lockhart did. I think they partnered with the school.
With the school.
And they got some kind of.
Well, we gotta get our school to,
Yeah.
Again, that's a policy discussion with the electeds on the
We
school
gotta talk.
board.
We gotta be with them.
Mhm.
That's what we were saying yesterday, it's the school board that we really need to. Because there's no reason when they tell me, as Steven said, they want a swim team, Jason, but it's like, well, what are you gonna give
Where are you
for a
gonna
swim
swim?
team? I mean, you're gonna have to give something. You
okay,
can't-
so,
Well, they need our support on the VODR. Not the VODR, what do you call the tax rate? The tax, it is VODR, right? VAT.
What?
What?
They were?
They need 3 cents on the next election, so they would like our support on that if we need some.
Oh, well, that's a
100%
vote.
from the state.
But I'm talking about
School.
beyond that.
3 cents for bond?
What do we do?
They're,
Is it a bond?
it's not, I can't remember.
Yeah, it is a
Okay.
bond.
They need 3
Yes,
cents.
it's a
Okay.
bond
They need 3
election.
cents. Is it not VODR?
so just looking at it right here too, as we continue to talk about the rec center and the YMCA, which is a concern that I said to
Yeah.
Sylvia about YMCA, right? The YMCA is not for everybody. When I say it's not for everybody, it is for everybody, because they won't, but like, it's not for everybody pocket-wise, right? Just. and
What does that mean?
What is that?
Money-wise, like, two household adult, a 2 adult household is $114 a month. I don't know if that's completely, for membership.
Where?
For the YMCA.
In a particular city, or?
I did YMCA Austin.
Yeah. And that's who we're
That's who
engaging
we
with.
partner with.
That surprises the crap out of me.
Yeah, that's why I say the YMCA is not for everybody.
Yeah.
A two adult household is $114 a month at the YMCA.
A month?
Yes.
And so, okay, before y'all go, well, what do I hear? Okay, so part of that discussion is, hey, okay, why we want you to operate, and we're gonna subsidize 150,000 so that you keep your rates to a $60.
Right, right.
For residents, and you can do resident, non-resident.
Yeah.
Non-resident, yeah.
Yeah, they can plug it into their spreadsheet.
Yeah. So this is Bastrop West. This is the
They gotta
parcel
pay for a building with that. So
that has, potential for, recreation center use. It's, 36 and a half acres. It'd probably be 20 of those 36, not all 36 and a half. It leaves room for some, future field expansion, some growth, essentially. It's in a public improvement district, meaning they can be public improvements that are requested, required, et cetera, negotiated into the agreement. And so from a, how's the quickest way I make it happen without the convention center being fully built, it is the potential for this location. So we gotta kind of think through that.
Access is 20. and
This is
what's
Hunter's
in-
Crossing, this is Bear Hunter,
Got it.
yeah, through Hunter's Crossing.
Okay. And we have,
And that's 20. That's not gonna have been built by any stretch of the imagination. The Bear Hunter's already built, so there's an extension to Bear Hunter that would be required right there.
so way to the east, we have where Agnes was extended.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is Agnes,
See, and that's
back
a-
that way.
Yeah, so that makes, thank goodness for Agnes.
This is future Greenleaf Fisk down here.
Okay.
Mhm.
And is that pink going 45 degrees on both sides? Those are streets?
Those were, yeah, no, I don't know what that
They
is.
look like you're just going through stuff, yeah.
I don't know what that is.
What, the pink lines?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, those are easements.
Oh, that makes sense.
Existing, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
This feeds into our next conversation about expanded fire and police services on 6B. Okay, you want a 5-minute break?
Yeah, I was gonna wait for us to get through this, but we can do it now. It's
Okay.
fine. We'll take, it's 10:39. We're gonna take a 5-minute break.
Sylvia with Casa Chapala is inviting you all next Thursday, two Thursdays, August 20th at 6:30. She's having a tequila, she's having a unforgettable tequila dinner. Of the sales tax associated with it. That is again, a Card John help deal, and completely by accident. I don't think he fully understood what he was doing at that time.
Kevin
but-
benefited from it too.
All right.
Yeah, I got a steak dinner out of it at your restaurant.
Oh.
There you go. I think I'm gonna report y'all to the Rangers now, but, this was about 5 years ago. George Martinez was still over ESD, and they went through, knocking door to door to get it on the ballot to be able to get sales tax. ESD number one has not been able to complete that. They're still only ad valorem. And so it's unrealistic for us to move into areas and ask them to cover fire protection and we keep the sales tax. That's just not, that's not gonna be a doable option for us. So we did keep fire in the budget. I'm gonna go back and look at it. There was some errors initially. I think she had some of our firefighters at like $22,000. I'm not sure why. But she corrected it. We're gonna go back and make sure the fire department is whole. My concern with hiring a fire chief, as with any new chief, police and or fire, is they always want a lot of things. And I don't know if you got Vicky's memo, if I forwarded to you her statistics on why she was needing what she was needing. I don't think there's any one resident that's going to say, no, we don't want better police and fire, but what does better police and fire mean, and how does that actually translate into service? BPNL also constrained by a very small CCN service area, as is the water constrained by a very small service area. So we did some harm to ourselves, you know, a couple of decades ago that is,
Very
now,
crude.
yeah. Now we're feeling the effects of that. That's not to say that Bastrop West, for example, an annexation and a conversation with that ESD about our ability to serve in that area. We do have a better ISO rating than they do, so I believe it would be
What does that mean?
Fire safety rating.
Okay.
Insurance.
Yes,
organization.
insurance service organization.
Yeah, I mean, they have a fire station relatively close to
No.
there, don't they?
It's one.
One does, but that's at 71, it's still 4, so that's way,
They're right there.
Okay.
About 8 acres.
Got it, okay. So, from recent research and my recollection of that research, so I'm about 85% confident in what I'm about to say. When you annex something that has a sales tax in place from an ESD, you give them notice, and you have to do it within 30 days of your annexation. And then they have a board meeting and they get to decide if they think they can serve better than you can. And if they can serve better than you can, they can deny your request to claim that sales tax from them. Maybe that whole serve better than you can is a discretionary thing that's exclusively theirs, or maybe a court can overrule them, but you know, we'd have to have a solid argument that we can serve better than they can, either due to proximity of the fire station or staffing or whatever, but, and maybe we can, maybe we can't, I don't know, that's a, you know, technical question, but it costs money to do it either way, you know, if they're gonna do it or we're gonna do it, so it's, like, those are the things that kind of factor into it.
When did we annex the top 200 acres?
2011.
The top 200? So those are outside of their sales tax jurisdiction?
No. Even though it was annexed in 2011, it was still within their fire district.
Sure, but they didn't get sales tax authority until May of 20, or October of 2024.
Did we get clarification?
Yeah, so, the annexation of that 200 was after that, it was in
What was it? Which one? It wasn't the 2011. That was the other.
Yeah, 2011 was just a series of development agreements that contemplated annexation.
So which one was this one?
That one is gonna be one of the 2021 periods.
Yep, so all of that is to say, yes, the ESD, and that's recent legislation, that's September of 2025 legislation.
Yeah, brand new.
Very recent, that our attorney wasn't even aware of. That is to say, that's gonna require some political pressure on your part with the board. From a staffing perspective, I don't know that we have much sway from the staff, but certainly the conversation about, hey guys, a hospital doesn't happen here without that. ESD 2 board. Thank you, John.
Twenty.
Okay, so they didn't have sales tax authority until October of 2020.
Two, right, 22. 22 or 23?
Michael, you pulled up the documents. The ESD election, you sent those
Yeah.
to me. So, and then the remainder of that is, I'm sorry? Oh, the remainder of that ends up being mixed use and, which is commercial and multifamily. And really, this development becomes almost a near impossibility without our ability to enter into 380s with reimbursements and things, so.
And who is secretary? Is he like an elected?
We know.
Yeah.
Actually, I do have a close relationship with the secretary of that board. Doug Wilson.
Yes.
He carries a gun everywhere too.
So, and I bring this up because with Ironwood, for example, with Ironwood, we asked for 2 acres, 2.5 acres, for a public use. That could have been a rec center, that could have been a fire station, that could have been a police station, that could have been a water wastewater office, that could have been a number of things related to public. In the development agreement, that reverts back if we don't use it within a specified number of years.
Do they have a park there?
In Ironwood,
Yeah.
50 acres.
5, right?
50 acres of dedicated parkland. Mhm.
Nice.
So we can put a car station
On the
That's
2
a
acres.
triple
Mhm.
2 acres.
And so the same contemplation in Bastrop West is if we're going to serve, what does that look like? And I've already told both chiefs that we're not building Taj Mahals. We're not gonna build a Kyle model. We're not gonna build a Great, we're not building any of those kind of models. They are true substations. They look like what's around them. They operate like what's around them. They have larger bay doors so the trucks and things can be housed in them. There'll be rules about you can't turn on your lights till you hit the biggest intersection, those kinds of things. But we will incorporate all of that into the public improvement needs in this type of development. I'll run the numbers on a public improvement district and a TERS without any 380 reimbursement, and I'll see what that looks like. I don't know what that'll look like, but usually a 3-legged stool is better than a,
Two-legged stool.
yeah, that's a ladder.
Exactly, well, that's exactly. You got a milking stool and you only got 1 leg, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's getting away its place.
You want to be comfortable on it.
No, you're not gonna be comfortable, especially if we don't have a seat.
I would not all of it, like, we would need to know the ESD agreement before continuing conversations with them.
Well, the top portion, if our annexation dates align, then the top portion, we still have to give notice. I gotta figure that out with Charlie. I don't believe they would be entitled to it. The bottom 200 is the piece that's at question, and the bottom 200 would actually incorporate that portion that could potentially be used for a recreation center.
So the ESD piece needs to be figured
That would
out
be-
at first.
Pretty quick.
That would help us because we don't care about sales tax there
Yeah.
because there won't be any.
Yeah.
It was May of 2022.
May of 2022, and then, so they were able to assess beginning October of 22, and we annexed.
Second reading was on the 22nd of August, 2023.
And the law is silent on any contemplated development agreements. Ugh.
There's also some ambiguity on what the start date is, if it's the date of the election or the date of the tax taking effect. You
Well,
get
the
to-
language on the ballot was very clear that it would take effect on October 1.
Oh, no, that's not ambiguous, but I'm saying that, so that was approved at some point in time, like May or whatever, and then October 1. The point is that in May, they had a tax authorized. that tax wasn't authorized to start until October 1st, but it was authorized. So the question then becomes,
Authorized to begin October 1.
he was authorized. It had a starting date. I'm just saying that it
Burleson
becomes.
and Sendetto in the time period between their election and the time it became put in place, and we're collecting.
Because we sent them the notice, because the law was different then, right? At that time, if you sent them the notice, then you got it.
Yeah.
But it's changed, like
Yeah.
you said recently. So, anyway, that's,
Yeah.
I'm just saying that there is because they changed the law, and then it made it slightly ambiguous on this point.
Yeah.
They didn't like intentionally deal with the possibility of, in that time window, someone gets annexed and who gets it. So that's gonna be a novel area that's not completely clear by the way.
This is why you shouldn't let state representatives be influenced by lobbyists who don't know what they're doing. All right, so we have to work it out with ESD number 2.
What does that look like? Like a joint meeting, or do we send them, like, what is that?
It's a joint meeting probably. Actually, it would be easier for the council to create a subcommittee and then talk to a subcommittee on their part before you bring everybody in.
That would be a better idea.
You're on it. Who else knows somebody on the board?
All right, so next is data center policy. So who asked for this one?
I asked for conversation.
Okay. So, okay, tell me.
Well, just as we move forward, we know that there's issues with data centers, concerns. With the size of them in the room, right, we don't really have the room within the city limits. But, there's property to be purchased in the ETJ, potential wanting to annex and partnership. I'm not saying that we have to, but just having the conversation, if anything comes up that might surprise us that we would have to deal with within the city. I'm not sure to the extent, but I'd like for us to discuss potential protection barriers that we can put in place.
So, I'll
to
start.
minimize the impact.
I'll start in the city. The code already requires a conditional use permit. So it requires it come to y'all anyway. That's first. That's inside the city. Outside the city, we have no zoning jurisdiction. And outside the city, we mostly serve wastewater. We don't really serve water. Our water territory is very small.
Smaller than the city limits, so.
Yeah. And so that's gonna be Aqua, and that's going to be the county who have that policy. Barring any special agreement where somebody's asking to be annexed, the price tag of those things, that's like almost a near impossibility. So I think from our conditional use permit right now, that's a valid protection within the city. Now,
Do you know what the definition of data center is for, because we have a data center at City Hall, and it's behind there's
IT,
computers,
yeah.
in the closet, right? My father and my father-in-law used to both build and work in data centers, but these are like corporate entities that, where you've got a big mega corporation that does something like manufacture windshield wipers, and then they have a server room somewhere that's called a data center.
Right.
And so, we have to be careful too, because, IT people still need to have email servers.
No, true.
So it's a different animal.
Yes, it's different. Well, that's part of why I'd like to have this conversation, so we have those identified.
But like
markers,
in our code.
But then also,
Did we
to me,
define it, or
with us
is it just
discussing it here, and even the simplicities of what's been said, the people now have something to reference and understand what we're doing, where we're at, right?
Yeah.
Because we've had this conversation. It makes it easier to answer, hey, what about this? Well, If I can't remember off the top of my head, I can tell you to go to this meeting here, and we just discussed it for a few minutes to let you know what we have.
No, so I'm gonna throw a wrench, and the reason I brought this up is the reason I bring this item up on the map is because I'm gonna throw a wrench in what I just told you. So Bar W, see if I can identify it quickly. Bar W was the,
Yeah, it's east side of the river,
yeah,
right?
here.
Yeah, A3, I think.
Yeah, so this is Bar W and this was Bar W. Now our wells are up over at Excess Ranch. We have a development at Excess Ranch. We have a development agreement at Excess Ranch that does govern some land use specifically in specific areas. It also allows a partial annexation, like a ring around, what is it, 1 mile, anyway.
It's like a 1 foot around the property.
Anyway, that,
Yeah.
none of that, after the rules changed about ETJ and everything else, none of that really matters. That we've been told, now, I know Carrie says it hasn't changed hands, but I've been told that it's been purchased by the Musk Corporation.
We spoke to the owner, he said it's under.
Contract.
He's like, I don't know how y'all found out, but that's crazy. And he said, yes, it is under.
Yeah.
Under contract, they're not allowed to do anything, they're in the
Yeah.
kind of waiting period.
Feasibility study or whatever.
So it is the 800 acres of Bar W and 750 acres of Tito's. And so Tito's, that's Excess Ranch, where we do have a development agreement, where there are some land use things. Now, our back is up against the wall because they can easily, one, default on the development agreement. There's no real recourse for default on either side because we're not providing services. We don't provide water, we don't provide sewer, we don't provide fire, we don't provide police, and we don't provide trash. Those are the big five. They can withdraw themselves from the ETJ and just be subject to county regs and not have to deal with us at all because there's no land use out in the county.
We wouldn't even need to withdraw from the ETJ to do that, right? They could stay in the ETJ and still.
They could stay in the ETJ, but then we might hammer them a little bit on some drainage or, not a lot, not on
But we'd have
1,500 acres.
no way to keep them in anyway.
No way to keep them in.
Oh, yeah? Industrial center.
Yeah. Yeah, industrial district. The conversation becomes, all right, if they're gonna do it, and they're gonna be able to do it anyway, is there some benefit to the residents that can happen?
Like a rec center.
Like a parking garage or a rec center? Just some food for thought. I'm not proposing any one of us go and say, here, I'm gonna give you this box of chocolate in exchange for X, Y, Z, but the likelihood of one of those two things happening, them defaulting on the development agreement and or removing themselves from the ETJ are pretty strong assumptions. Now, nobody's come knocked on my door and said, this is what I'm gonna build here, but
Never know. Never know.
And so the owner at Bar W did say, yeah.
He did say, yeah, and he did say that they would be up to, because we're having to discuss with them about the water line that's going through. And they are willing to entertain it, but they would have to
Clear
it with the buyer. So, we sent them the map, they were gonna have discussions with their attorney and then follow back up with us, so. And that was, last week.
This changes our entire wastewater plan also. We had planned for 3,200 homes there. And that was in that timeline John had talked about, we're gonna run out of space really quickly. That's kind of disintegrated into thin air. I don't know. Silverleaf is building homes around a data center, so, you never know.
But Silverleaf was coming before the data center.
And this city approved the mud for Silverleaf. This city approve the mud
Mhm. Oh, I
for
remember,
Silverleaf.
I remember that.
Yeah, you were on P and Z.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, they may seem like little decisions that we make, oh, it's a mud, it's way over there by, you know, Travis County, it doesn't matter, we're never gonna serve it, it's never gonna.
That's what we said.
And that's exactly what was said, if you go back to listen to the P and Z discussion was, it's over by Travis County, we don't serve water, we don't serve wastewater, we're never gonna get out there, that's not in our strategic goal. The mud's okay to happen.
That's what was said at council too.
And the mud would have happened, it would have just taken a little bit longer and it would have had more public hearings, but, you know, there are very few things that the legislature allows us to quote unquote stop, so. So right now you have a conditional use permit.
Kind of, we have, for different zones, we have different ones, like, I put that together for, as an accessory or incidental use, we have a conditional use in rural, and then it's totally permitted in GC, PI, and industrial. And then, for.
In GC,
Yeah.
general commercial,
This is as an accessory incidental use, and this is.
oh yeah, but the data center is gonna be a primary use.
Okay, that's down here. It is conditional in GC and permitted in industrial.
Industrial. So we wanna change the permitted in industrial to conditional use?
I could.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for an accessory, do we wanna change all of them to conditional instead of just permitted? That'd be good, that way it comes to us for all data,
Where's that
so,
white
yeah,
out,
yeah.
John?
Absolutely.
What was
Get
that?
the white out to wipe this.
You can
stuff
send
out.
this and highlight where you got it, just chop it.
Thank you, Carrie.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, we're good.
That created a very useful action item.
So we're just updating the use chart, but we're not adding any additional words around any policies or anything, right? But we're updating so everything data center related, primary or accessory comes to council for conditional use permit.
Please do not mention moratorium.
No, we do not.
Ban, because Bettencourt's gonna come out of the sky. Like you did in San Marcos. I mean, they started talking about banning, it's just the language, man, and if you use any of that language, man, they're coming. But I don't know what's going on now because. the
Benford
governor has
covers
been-
an area that has no
So you don't know what's
incorporated
happening.
city.
Really?
Okay, Historic Preservation Trust. So I've been talking to the city of Austin, who has created a program called Rally, R-A-L-L-Y. It is, just like Charlie said, a local government corporation. And they are implementing, they have not done a final transition of a sale of an asset, but they are doing exactly what we are intending to do, trying to do. They actually have a gentleman from the Texas Historic Commission who sits on their board. They created a local government corporation. They sat it with members of the community that are historic preservationists, realtors, bankers, you know, historians.
Are these in hot funds?
They are using hot funds. And it's an allocation from the city to this local government corporation that then allows it to do certain things.
Makes complete sense.
Yes, makes complete sense. The issue for them is hot funds are used for acquisition, and they also have a third-party funding source, a partner bank, a partner somebody, who is also doing loans out that to do what you wanted to do to help protect and help. They pointed me to the city of Galveston, who's also creating something very similar, and it has more legs to it. So I'm still running through those traps, but it is looking more and more like the creation of an LGC is going to be necessary. I tell you this because it's going to take us some time. The owner of the Bell House doesn't have time. He doesn't want to give us time. And so one of two things has to happen. He's going to apply for a demolition permit, which takes a period of time. right? He's gonna go through the historic preservation. It'll take a period of time to get through that. I don't know that I can have the trust done by then. So you have option A, general fund dollars to purchase, and then we go through this other process. Or B, we just wait and let him go through the process.
Why does it have to be general fund? I mean, you can still pay for it with hot funds even without the trust existing.
I can pay, well, Charlie is not comfortable with hot funds without the trust being created.
Shouldn't be an obstacle.
Why shouldn't it be an obstacle? Just curious.
Yeah. So, in order to use hot funds, hot funds don't require a trust, right? They're just, it's a set of rules. So, does it benefit the hotel and convention center industry is A, okay? Now, John Kirkland would argue this does not benefit the hotel and convention center industry on just a plain first level reading, okay? But the Texas Hotel Lodging Association and the Texas Association for the Arts have joined together and written a white paper that that says that it also benefits hotels to have something for people to do that are already staying in said hotel. So you didn't attract them there, you didn't provide the head in the bed, but you gave them something to do while the head was in the bed. And that is still technically meets the checkbox you need to pass that first test. And so since, neither of those is the Attorney General or the court, but the Texas Hotel Lodging Association is the lobby entity for all of the hotels that lobbied to create the hot funds law in the first place. And they are the defender of it. And in fact, many municipalities, including us, reach out to them. They get like 600 queries per year for, is this a legal use of hot funds? Right? So, once you've met test A, which is critical, you gotta meet it, then you have to meet test B. And test B is historic preservation, is the item that
He
test
says
B
that,
fits
he
under.
says the statute says restoration, not acquisition.
Yes, it's the acquisition.
It's right here.
Those stuff.
You
Here.
cannot acquire, it doesn't allow you to acquire any property.
And can
Okay,
you,
no,
can you,
that's fair.
can you pause that because this is attorney?
Yeah.
Or like turn it to.
All right, so we are at legislative priorities. Let me go back to the agenda itself.
Thank you.
What did you say?
I said legislative properties was priorities.
We're on properties.
So it's all living talk.
Yeah,
Property.
Phrase.
All right, Carrie, this one was yours. Did you send it to me in Teams?
I don't
The
know.
legislative priorities?
From like, but we haven't updated in forever. This for like agenda. Response to requests for, no, it wasn't a complaint. Draft, maybe? No. Uh-uh. Can't find.
So you're just saying we have a list of legislative priorities that we haven't updated in a while?
Correct, like the past, every 2 years, we've done a resolution of our legislative priorities and we've sent them to everybody in session. We haven't done it, we didn't do it last time, but we've done it like
I remember
2 years
that.
ago and 4 years ago. I don't know if we wanna do it again, if so,
Yeah.
seems like our priorities would be pretty different than.
Yeah, no, we didn't do it last
Yeah, I
time,
think it's in
and
there.
the one that was passed before that,
Those are
when it
previous
came up, like, I think Alan just copied that list and
For
put it into the
sure.
one 2 years later
For
for
sure.
council to discuss, and I'm like, no, I don't like 1, 3, 5,
Right.
6, you know? Like, oh.
And that's the chambers, what chamber is
Yeah.
working on. They're in the draft of their advocacy plan also. So that is their previous one, which they're not doing a major rewrite, it's just doing an update. But if you go back to the other 2 links I sent, you can just see what ours looks like before. I mean, do y'all feel like you wanna do a resolution and send them out to our legislative contacts, so.
Well, we definitely need the, hot tax collection for populations under 35,000. That needs to be strengthened and or kept and or pushed. That needs to stay there. That was a hot item, no pun intended.
Industrial district?
Yes, and then, the industrial district goes hand in hand with that conversation. So the one that I'm talking about for the hot funds allows, cities under 35,000 to collect hot funds in its ETJ. That's kind of specific to us.
That's kind of us.
It is us.
Well, but then the carve out for a county only allows them to collect it in the county if they're under 97,000, sorry, if they're under 100,000 and on the Colorado River and Highway 71 or whatever, right? And so they're over 100,000 now.
Right.
And so even the county has lost the right for them to collect hot taxes in the county already.
Yeah.
Because their carve out was, you know, that's not our legislative priority, but that's
Yeah.
still something that they'll probably be looking at.
They should think about
Should be
it.
about, yeah. That's a lot that they can lose out on.
Amen.
But I'm not even sure they declared a hot tax in the county of, 7% or whatever.
So what?
I don't even know that they have an active resolution to declare the hot tax that they have the ability to do
Oh,
today.
okay.
Yeah.
When, that was just yesterday, day before yesterday.
But that's interesting.
Yeah, but it's how all of these things.
Oh, you
interact.
just forwarded to me?
But it'd be easy to do, it just, they probably are gonna wanna raise that population limit. Bracketing is so funny, you can't just list the name of the community. You have to do it with
You can make it so ridiculous.
geographic boundaries. But then it makes it so that when you're reading through the law, it's hard to figure out if it's fit or not, you know. There'd be 30.
Is there a list associated
They're not
with
like
this?
sorted alphabetically or anything, right? So it's just
So,
like.
we recently just held Jill Struby and company, and Jimmy Jenkins in Smithville. We recently held a joint meeting in Bastrop about legislative priorities in the upcoming session. And so they drafted this resolution.
This is like a couple of days ago.
A couple of
right?
days ago, yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of days ago, so. And again, you guys were not there, so, oppose legislation that erodes cities' authority over local affairs, recognizes cities are the government closest to residents and are principally responsible for infrastructure, health, and safety, and recognize that cities require predictable and sufficient revenue to meet those responsibilities. Oppose uncompensated state mandates and identify the defeat of legislation detrimental to cities as TML's highest legislative priority, even when beneficial legislation must be sacrificed to defeat detrimental legislation.
These words are salad.
Yeah, right, yeah, and
Can you ask her for her specific list?
This is from TML.
Yeah, they
So,
helped.
I mean,
We had this conversation.
to me, passing this just says, we, abdicate all of our, legislative, advocacy to TML. And, well, we're for anything TML is for.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily.
No,
And I'm not.
No, I'm with you, like, as I'm hearing this.
Where's her notes?
Yeah, no.
As I wanted to say,
so-
who put this together?
Because it's so, it's purposely open-ended and vague
Yes.
so that they can say,
Just give us the
look,
maximum
we have
of-
this many cities that said this. and
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
tell me the exact.
Yeah.
Well, we couldn't be there because we were taking care of getting ready for here.
It also sold out real fast.
Mhm.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
What
What
did?
did?
this, the priorities workshop or whatever, the team.
Sold out?
Yeah, by the time they came to Bastrop, it was sold out already for the last
I
one.
feel lost.
I wanna go to California?
The meeting where they did all this. Like,
I didn't see
that's
that.
TML.
Oh, it's email, okay.
Yeah, we all got an email for it.
Yeah.
But
So,
it was Catholic.
we will, so you get your TML update also, and in that 4-pager at the back of every weekly meeting, or weekly
Yeah.
thing.
And we get a TML report.
You get a TML report. So
Yeah.
we can run a summary of that, but I know that these are two super important ones in terms of affecting us right
So
now.
if we have specific things that we want to advocate
Yeah.
for or against, then let's put it in there. Otherwise, to me,
Yeah.
just the.
I agree.
The blanket.
Yeah.
That blanket, that's not real help.
It doesn't say anything about where we are.
Up for election.
Yes,
Well, for
we're for-
example,
we're
for
for
example, this one says,
rainbows and all
sorry,
that
Kevin,
stuff.
this one says, revenue is important. And so if the state's coming back with that, we're gonna lower the cap from 3.5% to 2.5%, TML's gonna say, no, because that's detrimental to cities. This council may say, oh, that's great, I don't wanna tax my people anymore. So
Right.
that's what I mean by if you included completely.
Yep.
Yeah. For sure. Can't be that big.
Aw, Stan.
Okay.
I think we need to identify reuse, wastewater and its associated partners, including its law firms who are associated with reuse.
So, I mean, you're obviously way more in tune with this than we are. Would you want to just come back to
Sure.
us at some point? 'Cause,
Sure.
yeah, rather than try to think of it.
Well,
here.
and I think the other
Yeah.
super important thing that TML has been, where what continues to come across, and TML on various forms, I think there was that one meeting where I stood up and said, this is crazy, and I got a standing ovation.
Right.
And then the following year, TML backed off and said, no, we're not for that after all. So really, as it relates to density and it relates to uses, remember the only in God's backyard legislation that would allow a church to build whatever they wanted, and they were exempt from any kind of zoning, which was opposite of NIMBY, not in my backyard.
Yeah.
So there are, and I'll scour and I'll bring it and make sure it's an agenda item on 8/22.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The other element of this that matters is that the passage of legislative priorities then gives explicitly in our code of ethics and, in the resolution itself, the mayor and the mayor pro tem the ability to advocate at the legislature for that list of priorities. So that's the other
Yeah.
reason. In absent of it, it literally mutes us
Yeah.
as a city, for those activities.
Unless we pass one resolution at a time.
Right, yeah, you pass one thing and then, you can advocate for that
Yeah.
one thing, but.
Okay. All right. Flock cameras. So this was a Fosler item, so do you want to kick us off?
Sure, yeah, I noticed that Austin City Council back in May passed a policy, I think it's called like the trust policy, where, let's see, I'm trying to pull it up here. Just because they're public, it seems like the council passed like the big contracts with surveillance, but didn't keep, basically it gives all surveillance contracts come to council for review and any modifications, and it just gives them like a lot more oversight of all their surveillance contracts in the city. And I'm just wondering, do we have any type of surveillance policy or anything where we want to be able to see all of the updates to those, just because the flock cameras are such an issue and public issue right now?
Are they though?
Right, so going back, excuse me, so I mean, let's also think what happened in Austin with their restrictions of their policies. And Taylor, 2-3 months ago, because of their lack of standing with security as far as the flock cameras going. Taylor has them, and they were able to capture the 3 teenagers that were on a shooting spree in Austin. So Taylor's policy, being much stricter than Lee in Austin, caught the people. Elgin, last month, sexual predator coach caught flock camera. My point in all of this is, I think we need to be really careful when we start delving into, are we going to control, the council is what I'm saying. I think we need to first establish, where do we stand on this? How do we feel about this? That's the question that I have.
So, I've done a little bit of reading into this, and I would say that, I believe that the benefit, we've even seen cases where flock cameras have caught people, you know, with crimes in Bastrop. There is a general surveillance concern that I don't personally share. And then there is a concern about misbehavior of the government, and that one I do share.
Right.
Okay. And so for me, the idea of some automated monitoring of your government while it's doing this type of a thing, like for instance, a IT generated report of all searches of the database. Because, and what you're specifically trying to prevent is a angry police officer monitoring the whereabouts of his ex-wife's boyfriend.
Which was on the news this morning.
Right, right. And so just the fact that, you know, 30 days after the searches are done, they're automatically posted on the city website at this particular location for every single search that was done, where people could look to see, did mine come up? Is there a particular person that's searching for the wrong things too many times? You know, like those kinds of, that sunlight is shined onto the data, right? And I proposed like a 30-day thing, because that way it's not,
Investigation.
yeah, it's not active investigation. And you could even have a policy that says, you know, you're gonna release it by default unless a court says you're not gonna release it, or, you know, to kind of withhold it. But it's this, the data's available, you know, it's not just, trust your government, they're not really doing these bad things to you. It is simply look at the data yourself, you know, and so that resonates with me at least, is that ability to automate the reporting of how that data is used. You know, as a discussion, do you want the officer's name, or do you want just Officer A?
Yeah.
You know, there's all sorts of little details that matter, but you know, something like that, for me, would address the principal concern. And I think that principal concern resonates with a lot of people, because they're like, oh, I don't want a person with this authority, abusing said authority, and then, you know, potentially bringing harm to people. And so if you can remove that element, that discussion point, that concern, and say, well, you know, that's why we have this in place, so that even you can determine that that's not taking place, then that probably starts to address the majority of the valid, you know, concerns. And that's just sort of.
And I say no, I'm shaking my head no, because we do a police report, right? We do the annual police report. We do the annual, and I you know, we have people show up at the meeting who are like, these are all lies. These are lies. The government is lying. These are lies.
No, and I concur with that.
On website, they're gonna say that I'm tweaking. We were talking about this the other day, that we're tweaking the data, that we're not being accurate. And what's gonna happen is you're gonna find that we're gonna say, I can't post certain information because it is involved in a criminal investigation.
An active criminal.
Active investigation may go on for 20 years and never be solved, but it is an active investigation, and that data cannot be released. And so you're gonna have a blank that says, and so you're always gonna have that, but you're looking for a governance and not necessarily like a governance of how that data is being used. And it is audited, it is, there are safeguards in place. That's why these people are getting caught, that are misusing that data, because there are safeguards in place to make sure that that data is not being misused, and Chief, I'm sure audits our stuff, and Flock, for the data that's being collected in the city of Bastrop, I'm sure Chief has the ability to see who is using that data. When does that data leave the city? And we can choose to say, no, it's not gonna leave the city. It's gonna stay right here. But I believe she's sharing that with Elgin and our surrounding agencies that need the usage of that data. And when we say data, like, we're only talking about images or videos that are being captured in the public. We're not talking about your home address.
Yeah, there's a misconception.
There's
a complete misconception
None of
about
that
where
stuff.
those
Flock doesn't
things are
have
being
that.
aimed,
Yeah.
what it's being used for. And so, before we go down the path of Flock is evil, let's really clarify where they are used. I'm not a big fan of publicizing the map either, because then you tell the bad guys where to avoid.
Right.
Right?
Where to go cut them down.
Yeah,
Or where to go cut them down.
They learn a pattern if
Which,
they're
by the way,
able to
that's
see
$2
this
grand
stuff.
every time they cut those things down.
that's-
Just let you know.
Well, the one on Old Austin
$2
Highway
grand.
survived.
$2 grand.
Who's on the hook for that?
We are. Unless it is owned by somebody else, like Lowe's
Yeah.
owns it or somebody else owns it. But yeah, every one that we've put up and it gets cut down, we're.
And the vast majority that I've seen of people complaining online are not Bastrop residents. So let's have a discussion about what are they used for? What is the primary intent? What are they actually capturing? And, how many cases have they helped solve?
Yeah, and how do we guard against misuse?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that's,
That's
the
because I already
biggest
know
thing.
the others are.
All the other ones are fine.
So,
Yeah.
so
That's the
we have
only
to
one I-
create,
yeah.
like, people gonna speculate whatever they wanna speculate, right? But if we have those measures established and say, this, that, and the other will happen as a result of our officers misusing this information, right? Cause that's the biggest concern, right? Everyone resorts, they don't think about the computer hacker, right? Because the computer hacker can get into your cell phone. That's easy. You never hear that. You always hear things about the law enforcement.
You also don't hear anything when they say accept all cookies when they're on the
Right.
website, except that your phone is tracking you way more than a
Right,
flock
yeah,
camera
right.
will
I
ever
mean,
track.
I read the threads religiously, not religiously, but like I see them a lot. Part of the reason why I see them a lot is because of the lady who stirred up the whole big thing, the re-stirring it up. And she reached out to all of us. I don't know, but like, according to her, I'm the only one who replied. And so, like, I keep up with what people are saying. I hear the conversations because I brought this up to Sylvia about talking about this. I really wanted to have it at a council meeting in town and not here, right? Because I wanted to bring it before the people so they'd have an opportunity to come and talk to us.
Yeah.
But,
And we
like,
should
I
do
don't,
that.
We should do
right,
that.
we should
Yeah.
still, right?
Yeah.
Like, but like, I think the more concern is, they say the government, but when they're talking about the government, they're either talking about us as the city, or they're talking about the police department. So if we have measures in place to where we are protecting their right, and we're holding each other accountable, and if that does happen, this, that, and the other is the punishment for it, I think we'll be okay, because outside of that, like, what else are, you see the conversations, and they'll go down a rabbit hole of what ifs and what ifs and what ifs and what ifs. And it's absolute unnecessary what ifs, because now you're just thinking of things to think of things to make an issue about something and getting away from the reality of what it is. And we need to deal in reality of what we're doing with these. And the way that these, the cameras are used, what they're used for, how the information is generated and put out there, like you said, if Chief can provide, hey, we're gonna keep it here, then that's fine. I don't think that we need to like have it open up for the public, and that just leads to a whole nother issue that we would have to, but maybe we can continue to provide reports, right? And saying this is the data that we have on it. If you want, maybe you can sit down and arrange a conversation with the police chief to get that, but like not just having it out there released, right?
So you guys are asking for a policy on how best to protect us from misuse.
Yes, that's basically what it is.
And
And
to
I
me,
think
it would
she-
look something like,
We'll have to ask her, but I think she already has those in place.
I've already
Because they
asked her.
currently have, like, agency control sharing, they do department control access, they have audit assistances, they have, this report right here gets published there's a flock, tab on the PD's, city website right now. This is what gets published right now that shows you like how many times they're searching, what are they searching, what percentages. And so that's the offense type analytics. And then I think Flock just came out, and I don't know if Chief has explored this, we'll have to ask her. There is a transparency portal that Flock has come out with because of this demand. And we would have to ask her to research it and see, is it something that can benefit us? And maybe she has looked into it, I don't know. We'll have to ask her, what does that transparency portal look like? Because it says it can, agencies can publish policies, usage information, program details on a agency managed website that pulls data from Flock. So we'll have to ask her what that means, but I think they're doing that. I think we already have a policy.
She has a policy.
I've
sent it to all of them.
A lot of that CGIS information that we get, we have a policy against already, and there's laws in place that keep you from misusing that information. You go to jail. I mean, you get arrested and go to jail, your license pulled. It's not an easy.
And if we just, I don't know how we'll go about it, but just providing the, if they need to go to the PD website or the city website on, this is why they're here, how they came about, right? The intention, you got a complaint hotline, whatever, just to ease their mind about the flock cameras, right? Because again, I can get it, right? People are worried about being recognized for whatever or tapping into your system, but if it's, hey, and I'm not even being funny, I'm being real, I'm not trying to dismiss anybody's thoughts about it, right? Everyone or majority of the people have a Facebook account, right?
That's it.
You have a Facebook account, you have a lot of the fine print in there of you giving up your personal information that you're not fully aware of, right? Like, you hear it all the time from the same people that say stuff about the flock cameras. If you really knew what was going on, you wouldn't have a Facebook account, right? And so, if we can just do it on our end to give those, and I'm just saying it because that's just, like, information out there. I don't think the flock cameras are going to tune into your information. So if we can just provide those safety measures or confidential wording, to help people be, assured that we're here to protect them, we're here to protect the city, we're not here to misuse this. It might be going on somewhere else, but that's not what we're doing here.
The thing with like the cell phones and the Facebook, that's real, I agree with you. The difference that I see is the difference between a private company and the government doing it. So when the cell phone, which is operated by a private company with Meta operating Facebook, in order for the government to get involved, it requires search warrants, court orders, the court has to approve, and so you have the due process associated with the government monitoring something that you're carrying. And then it turns into exactly what you said. But it's that checkpoint of the due process element before you get access, and you have to show probable cause and all those things. When the government has leased a monitoring system that they then create data and are able to access it without that due process, is where you run into the verification questions, right? And so, that's kind of where I see the difference, is that other path automatically has constitutional due process built into it, but this one, if someone was abusing it, I don't know how we would know or how we would find out. Like, that's really
so who would abuse it outside of the city officials or the police department? Correct. Here.
No, agreed. It would only be
so we put
the police
those measures here
Right.
to protect that and add.
So it's more of a chain of custody of the data and accessibility, from the public. And then the public can be the watchdog, and if the chain of custody isn't such that the person who is abusing the system can manipulate the data that's going out, then I think we're okay. It's like the same reason you don't have the same person who collects the money at the desk be the same person who deposits the money at the bank. You break that chain of custody into two separate entities. So like if IT handled or some other, or maybe city secretary, whoever, I don't care. If somebody different besides the PD infrastructure handled the dissemination of the queries, then I think we're there.
Yeah.
Sure. And I think that's good for everybody, you know, the assurance is good for all of us.
Yeah.
Because that's what the biggest thing is. There's nothing definite out there that they can find
Yeah.
information on.
Yeah.
You have all kind of experts providing knowledge from everywhere,
Yeah.
and just like with anything that's bad, you can take that and spread it way more faster than you can something that's.
Well, and it's because you have fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Yeah, fear of uncertainty and doubt is, man, a thing that.
Yeah.
Powerful thing.
Now, I would like to see whatever policies we have in place for it. I mean, one thing that comes to mind is, for instance, are we using a small number of group level accounts, or do we have individual officer accounts? And having individual officer
Can you share the
accounts
policy,
would
Andy?
give you the transparency
Okay.
of which officer
The
is
flock
doing what.
policy. You've gotten that block policy no less
It's
than
all
twice.
laid out in that policy.
Yeah, it's like we've received
Yeah, but the public
and
hasn't.
granted, like, I think we all need to be reminded of it because it wasn't that.
Say that loud. You wanted the camera, say it loud. You said, but the public hasn't.
The public hasn't received
You are
all
the
the
public.
memos.
You are the
We are the
public.
public.
Yeah, I mean, I call
It's
people
important
and
for
I
you to
read the
share.
memos.
That's just like what I always talk about, right? I've been saying it since on P and Z. Each one of us at least know 5 people that we can talk to. If you provide that information, especially if we're in here with the valuable information that they need, that is part of our duties and responsibilities, is to give them that right information. Not to say, I don't know, or I don't have it, or even bring it up again. Let's work together in providing that information if we have it.
Yeah, that's what our job is.
Like if someone asks you about something, go back and check your emails to see if we have that information.
For sure, I do, but when we get memos from like the police, I don't post them on social media. I figure they're internal,
I'm
yeah.
not saying post them on social media.
But I do call the people and I read it to them, and I go through it all, for sure.
Right, but
Yeah.
there's certain things that we can.
Well, so it's just newsflash, it's a public document unless Charlie tells you that it's legal, attorney-client, it's a
We
public
have things that
document.
we get that we know we can share with people, and we can go ahead and share those things.
Well, it's good to back it up anyway, we're not just
Right.
making.
Yeah, I'm gonna look for the message.
We've talked about it publicly, and then
Memo, this
one.
we can.
Yeah, what date was that?
April 29th, when you sent it out to, sorry, April 28th.
Yeah.
Mhm. Flock operations memo.
April 20th, yeah. I'm gonna forward to all of you again.
And this is the one that came with the quarterly report too, right?
You're doing your job, man.
Kevin, Ish, Cynthia, Kevin, Carrie, John, Perry.
That's the same, it's just, yeah, it's just that simple, it's right there.
Okay, so I'm gonna open it up because, again, we're on camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, please do. And you know, the thing about it is that,
So,
I don't know how to bring it.
overview. Oh,
Oh, yeah, we don't have any record, right, of any of our police department or police officers misusing it, right? All we have here in Bastrop are things that,
Okay.
that has worked out for the better.
First question, we do not retain any flock data, nor do we keep any lists. The only items are kept what is pertinent to the criminal investigation persecution requirements under the Michael Morton Act.
So we don't retain any flock.
That was sent out to us.
In April.
I know,
Right.
I know,
Right.
that's,
I don't know what
that's,
that means.
Google Michael Morton Act.
No, we don't retain any flock data. I guess it's, we as the city don't independently, but it's still in the flock system, so it's almost that sentence almost doesn't mean anything.
Well, you're assuming it's retained in the flock system internally.
Depending on the architecture of that thing, it doesn't need to be saved internally, it's saved in the cloud.
That belongs to flock, not us. And
I'll have
her,
a system work, so,
well,
yeah.
so and so don't make any assumptions right now,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you helped lead this gray matter conversation about all
Yeah.
things are bad. So, only access after a valid criminal investigation, reference number has been entered, to the point of, we're not just sitting there looking at cameras. We don't have any MOUs with businesses or HOAs that utilize flock. Private customers do not have access to law enforcement data. This goes back to there has to have been a crime that was committed. They're installed by law enforcement only on public property and are positioned to capture images of public roadways. There's a conversation piece of the expectation of privacy in the public space.
So, does that mean, you said there's, but Walmart and all those others have flock cameras too, right?
Private business, yes.
Right. Well, so that should probably say our flock cameras or the city's flock cameras, because
Yeah, true.
we're not installing the Walmart ones or the Lowe's
No.
ones or the Home Depot
Yeah.
ones. So
And
that should be made clear.
does the city of Bastrop have access to the flock data from Home Depot?
If there's an agreement.
If there's a crime that's been committed, according to this memo, only if there's a crime that's been committed.
Yeah, and yours.
Data our
Right,
department
that's probably
obtains from
Craig
flock.
Jewelers is- I mean,
Okay.
K's Jewelers.
Yeah, data our department obtains must be provided to DPS in conjunction with state policies and procedures, and they in turn will provide us with data on the license plate. This is also in conjunction with CJIS rules, the Criminal Justice Information System FBI rules. Detailed personal data is not provided by Flock. Flock is not used for traffic citation, registration informant, insurance verification, or other minor offenses. Its use is limited to serious incidents such as robberies, firearm-related offenses, hit-and-run incidents, sex crimes, as well as
Yeah, you got it.
non-criminal matters including missing persons and protective orders. The constitutionality has been brought before several federal judges and thus far has been deemed that the warrantless use of flock cameras is constitutional due to its limited scope and frequency of data capture and does not track individual movements. The state of Texas has deployed flock cameras along highways statewide. Our department adheres to the same state established standards and provides required policy documentation to the states. We do not own or maintain all of the flock cameras in the city. Many are private businesses, HOAs, and state-owned. So this was sent to you
Can you
guys.
go back to that bottom part real quick and read that, right there.
In addition, we welcome anyone with concerns about how the program works if they would like to come by the police departments.
There you go.
Thank you.
And again, this was sent, where was that? So-
April.
So this would be a great thing to reiterate to your everybody's constituents. When they have questions, just say it straight.
And it's okay, cause like I'm sure we all somewhat forgot about this. Otherwise, we would have been providing the right information and sharing this with people in public.
Well, and
And even myself, I forgot we
Yeah.
had this
And we
myself,
don't
so.
normally engage, number one, it's difficult to engage in social media because you go down a rabbit hole, number one, and we have retention policy on social media. We can't just delete anything. We don't,
Right.
in fact, delete unless they're cursing at us or something. Second, there's a lot of folks on the social media channels who don't even reside in Bastrop. And so it's an echo chamber of specific commentary that often does not reflect the public at large.
Right.
Yep.
And number three, I'm all about improving whatever policy that we have, but I really dislike private or just generalistic statements about people don't like them. Well, what people? Who people?
Yeah.
Is it 5 people? Is it 10 people?
Yeah.
Is it, who is it? Because there are folks on our social media who say, report all Bastrop County corruption. And it's probably 10 comments on every single thread. Well, and we're not Bastrop County.
And we're not even Bastrop County, right?
And
Yeah.
so when folks are individual, the woman who sent you the email and sent it to everybody on council, I believe Chief has had a conversation with her. And if not, I'll make sure that that's arranged. But, I really want us to talk about issues of substance. A policy, absolutely, an issue of substance. But if 5 people out of 14,000,
Yeah.
I just want us to have a
yeah.
policy.
For sure.
And
And we do have a policy. You
Yeah,
want a
we
more
do.
clarified policy.
Yes, and we don't have anything about misuse in there. I would like that to be added.
Yep.
Right.
So the comment here is how do we guard against misuse, talk about the flock transparency portal, and address chain of custody concerns.
Yes.
How they're used, how they're not used. how they're useful, yeah.
Well, that's in her.
That's in the, all of that is in there.
Yeah, no, and I did read that and had that in my head and also knew that it didn't really, it spoke to why they're valuable to our community. And I freely accept that. So then it's like, okay, I have no concern there, so let's look at only the thing that represents the, protection against misuse, which is, when you hear those cases, it's like, oh, well, that's pretty serious. Let's make sure that we, are guarding against that appropriately, but.
That's just proof.
Yeah.
Okay, so, for follow-up items, because this leads us to the end of our agenda, unless you're gonna open it, well, yeah, you have citizen comments. So, for follow-up items for me that we've talked about today, you want a plan for Blakey that includes specific items on, Jessica addressing pedestrian safety. I'm going to add a 2-hour workshop to one of your future council meetings to talk about the impact fees, to get some general consensus before we take it back to the impact fee board and all of that other good stuff. We're going to also review sidewalk connectivity as it relates to the streets program. We're going to send that to the surveying crew to see what and where and come up with some cost estimates. The Blakey roundabout has some widening for 18-wheelers, the shoulder acceleration, and then construction timing is super important consideration for businesses. We need to bring you amendments to the data center policy, conditional use permit required among all primary and accessory uses. I need to bring you a budget amendment, historic preservation trust on acquisition of the Bell House. I owe you a legislative advocacy short list on what we can support. You will create a resolution on who will send such support to Austin when needed. And you want a flock cameras addressing misuse and transparency. And then from yesterday, I owe you some budget information as it relates to some additional sales tax that is created at Burleson. We owe you an agenda item that is related to Bastrop West, where you will create a subcommittee to meet with ESD number 2. Did I miss anything?
Well, you swallowed, you were swallowing.
Oh, I'm swallowing,
And
yeah.
you was waiting on somebody else to say
Well,
something
no,
before you had it
but
to
I'm
say.
glad you pointed her out, because yesterday we left off with the DMO organization here in Fredericksburg, and that conversation related to what Discover Bastrop is actually doing toward marketing. So she has some things she wanted to share on what they're actually doing that hasn't made its way to the surface.
Do you want me to share on it?
Yep.
Yeah, so we essentially, as you know, we took on the history of the organization, and so the first, I mean, honestly, I didn't get Candace in until January, and then I left in February. So last year has been a lot of cleanup work behind the scenes, so a lot of work on the website and such. But Candace and I have been very strategic on budgeting dollars. This is really the first time that we've gotten to tweak the budget for this year. Last year's budget was really just adopted and carried over from what Visit Bastrop had done as it relates to their marketing budget, because I didn't know for sure what I was getting into. But we've sat down and kind of outlined our strategic pillars, and those are as follows. Essentially, brand campaigns is our main focus for that. The objective is to own the regional drive market with seasonal campaigns. These include things like Escape the City, River Weekends, Fall and Pines, Hallmark Christmas, and then live music initiatives. Our core messaging, really diving into what that is and what that entails. We're really pushing selling experiences instead of just attractions. So that ties into the platform I was talking about yesterday, the Van Ringo platform. Our kind of target audiences as of right now is family adventures, outdoor escapes, girls' weekends, and couples, elevated couples weekends. We really need to increase our content studio. Honestly, I expected to have more content in the transition, and there really hasn't been much of a content backstock. So between us and our communication department, we've got a plan in place to really up all of our content as it relates to photography and videography. So I mentioned yesterday we're working on 5 commercials as we speak. Those commercials will be used in a plethora of ways, but they're all in a different target audience. So one is an elevated experience, one is family friendly, one is outdoor experiences. We're doing a nostalgic play, which will actually target the older generation. We're seeing an increase in that generation joining us, grandparents kind of age. And we'll be
I just jumped into that. I like that.
To be honest, that is gonna be a little bit expensive up front to get all of that content, all of those commercials, but we'll be able to use a lot of that footage in a multitude of different ways. One of which is specifically CCTV footage. So when we want to target the demographic in Dallas in a certain neighborhood and target them directly, this would be throwing ads into their Hulu commercials. So very like in front of the audiences that we want to be targeting. So we're doing a deep dive in those audiences that are visiting us to make sure we're putting those in front of the right people. Our next pillar is earned media and influencers. So this is increasing awareness beyond just paid advertisement, both print and digital. So we are getting really into the scope of bringing influencers into the arena. And so all of our big events, we've outlined influencers, and we're working with the hoteliers to put them up at the hotel stays. We actually just had one last month, and she did a whole weekend stay, and it's gotten a lot of really good exposure on her platform. And then we in return get a lot of that content from them. We're trying to be more strategic about our like PR push and pitching in Texas Monthly and HGTV. Y'all saw the HGTV one, Southern Living. So a lot of those really like spotlighted posts. So being intentional about what our blogs are to push those. Group sales is in here, and that's specifically to recruit weekday sales, and I'm talking more small scale. This is a prime example of what I'm trying to bring to Bastrop on the weekdays. So associations or small retreats. Digital visitor ecosystem is connecting our visitors across all touch points, so making it a streamlined process on our website. So to get them directly to our website, how we're getting them to the website, and then direct ROI from our website to an actual stay. So again, that ties back into the platforms that I mentioned, and streamlining everything. I also talked about a badge. Did I tell you all about the badge program? I think a little bit. Yeah. So we've got a badge program for small meeting groups that get people downtown, direct relation to that. We're working on cleaning up our CRM. That has been a fun adventure. And then just all across the table of connections between our department in general. And then just overall destination development. So that's marketing experiences while improving our destination. So activation of everything. So the wayfinding improvements, the branding awareness, the packages, public art, downtown just in general. So making sure those are all connected and working together. So that's like a big picture of like, we at least have like a strategic vision, and now we're doing the like detailed list on that. So like being very specific on what we're doing in Texas travel, authentic Texas, tour Texas, the Google ads, meta ads, Texas travel and taste. So we're being more strategic now. I will be honest, I'm not in the airports currently, but that is something that if y'all like wanted to give me that direction, I could definitely like pursue.
Well, for sure, because we're what, 2 hours from San Antonio,
Yeah.
45 minutes from Austin, hour and a half from Houston.
Yeah.
I mean, we have 3 airports,
Yeah,
Now,
and
I'm not driving to San Antonio, but I'll drive to Austin, I'll drive to Houston.
Well, I've been doing like some strategic, it's kind of interesting on how you get there, but like as it relates to Coda, right? Being very strategic about geofencing that area, so I can target those that are visiting there to, hey, you went to Coda last year, like, and targeting those audiences to say, hey, you can stay in Austin for double the price that you can stay in Bastrop. So like utilizing those that are outside us and kind being very specific to get those visitors in, but I think that relates to the airport conversation as well, and figuring out like, yeah, where we can get inside the airport that makes the most sense. But yeah, we are doing some print stuff for sure still. Our visitors guides, we're gonna redo those, but we are pivoting a lot to more digital focus, because you can track that data. So I will put on mine to come to you guys quarterly with kind of an overview of like what we've been doing, what we've pushed, what articles we're in, all that, and then also be able to kind of show you guys a snapshot of the ROI of what we're doing. Because we are doing a lot of the good things that they're doing, it's just on a lot smaller scale right now. And
We're
still building
building
it.
small budget. And you don't have a huge staff, either, Michaela.
No.
You know, yesterday Michaela was talking about the state park and all the people, and Nate is on our parks board, the superintendent of the state park, and they've got that place, the registry when you drive in. That might be a good opportunity, just to have some pamphlets, some.
Yeah. And so we're about to redo the visitor's guide, and then we actually have 2 maps on our desk currently. I don't know if you've seen them around Fredericksburg, but they've got maps that are like all the businesses. They were in our hotel as well. We haven't had anything like that really. So we just got the first draft of a downtown specific directory / map and a Bastrop map, which is like similar to that. So we're working on having a lot of that type of easy brochure. We've done a downtown one. So yeah, we've got a lot of that just right at the tip. We're so close. But yeah, we're putting those in strategic places. Those hotel yard meetings, that way we're making sure that they always have visitor guides in there. We've had conversations about putting them in the hotel room so they don't do that anymore. But we'll make sure that all of the lobbies have them stocked. We've been sending about Candace's probably easily 50 visitor guides a month to individuals. So we have a lot of popularity in that. So
I think it's really important for us to understand too that with Discover Bastrop, what they're putting the information out is free. Nobody's paying, you have to be a member, you don't have, only be listed if you're paying money. This is what the town has at the charge of nothing for these people to be there. So I'm very thankful for that, because so many times businesses especially they're excluded, people are excluded because they're not paying a dollar bill, so.
And it is a priority. That was when we took over Discover Bastrop to become previously it was very much, and they mentioned it yesterday, we don't know, which is correct, but I think that's where the relationships matter for us to be going out and getting that information as well. And that is a priority for my team, and we've had conversations about making sure we're downtown more and all of that, and that's why we're meeting with these hoteliers every month, because as much as it's like, yeah, we can't promote what we don't know, but we also need to be putting in the effort to keep that information from them, because everybody's busy across the board, so that is a priority for us to be doing. And I think we're slowly getting better at that, but yeah, staff capacity is
right.
So, but that's marketing related, but can be definitely open in all years to creative marketing suggestions. If you see places when you travel that you're like, oh, that needs to be good and it makes sense for us, then definitely.
I just want to contrast with Visit Bastrop too.
Yeah.
Because that's gone, and we know
Yeah.
that, and that's over, but I will say, even the assets, our community assets had to pay to play. You don't pay to play at all, this, period.
So what I would like you guys to think about, because I'm gonna talk to Michaela through her budget, is she had wanted a sales position, and y'all heard me yesterday, sell what? I don't have any convention space, and well, I mean, our convention center, but any large space, help to sell with, whatever. I don't think that's a full-time position yet, but in my mind, that really is a marketing position. Candace can't produce and market, and so we are in, and that's all of the departments, we're in production, and it is very hard for us to get at the 50,000 foot level and look at longer term picture goals. And so we may look at your staffing again and go, yeah, maybe it's a part-time sales, part-time marketing to create one position, but we're definitely missing some grand opportunities, because if she's on Canva producing, she's not,
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, because I think it is very, like she mentioned, she's got the relationship that apologize for the names, but sales has the relationship with the airport, to be strategic on the sales, and then you've got marketing that does that pretty picture that's in the brochure. You know, so there is a lot of overlap in between those, and they collaborate a lot. So yeah, how do we strategically do that?
Okay, so I want to take you back real
Wait,
quick.
Can I say one thing?
Yes, yes, yes.
I'd like a
please.
quarterly report of what you're not doing anymore. I don't want to keep adding to your plate, like more strategic, less sweat.
Okay.
What you're not doing, I don't understand what that means.
What you have identified that's unessential that will help you move towards strategic and less producing different.
Yeah, I think her,
Unessential.
I think arts and, well, you heard them yesterday, they're not super event focused. And I think, yeah, that's not that there aren't events happening, the city's leading those events. The issue with Michaela is that she is the city and, the DMO and, you know, and a portion of Chamber of Commerce, a portion of, you know, the hospitality group, a portion of blank, blank, blank. So we really have to figure that out. When I got hired, for those of you who weren't on the hiring committee, I was told you need to bring back Yesterfest and you need to bring back Boo Bash. We tried Yesterfest, they wouldn't move the date and it's too damn hot to try to do it in the May and June, the butter won't even churn. So Yesterfest has been a complete bomb, but I really would like that.
May, it's Memorial Day.
It's May.
It used to be last weekend in April.
So, but there is a reimagination as we really embark and really capitalize on our historic stuff. And I keep going back to Waxahachie, and I know I'm saying that completely wrong, but they do a complete history in the courthouse, in the jail. They're dressed in period garb. I mean, it is an event. I'd like us to think about reimagining some of those things that get us back to our core historic Bastrop. Boo Bash, yes, wonderful for the kids. It's great. It draws 20,000 people plus downtown. It is an extraordinary staff ask between Halloween and Christmas. We can't even have a Christmas party for staff. We don't have a party till January because there is no time. Everybody knows you don't take vacation during those times either. And it's getting that way for the better part of the year, right? You can't take a vacation here because we're doing that. Can't take a vacation in August because it's rodeo. Can't take a vacation in July because it's 4th of July. You know, and so we're stacking Mardi Gras, we're stacking. I really want us to take a hard look at a return on investment on those things. And is it really a return for the business? And I keep harping on, I don't want you guys asking the businesses for discount cards. I want you to pay a visit 2 and 3 times just to check on how you're doing before you go ask for something. They shouldn't only see your face gracing the door when we're asking for something.
Thank you, ma'am.
And that, you know, but all of those events lead to that kind of support necessary. So we really are gonna have to take a good look at that. Do those have an ROI and are they beneficial? I mean, obviously homecoming and obviously the Christmas parade, right? Juneteenth, I don't count because that's not us running it. You know, 4th of July, we took that back. Is that an opportunity to send that to Bastrop County Cares? Is it an opportunity to send it in the partnership that this group had about the nonprofits running? I'm not saying the city abdicates its responsibility, but anyway, those.
I'll mention that based on conversations yesterday together that we're kind of talking about this is like, I have essentially 23 events that are on my internal plate, right? And that doesn't necessarily count the recurring ongoing rain days every month, right? And then we've had 56 special event permits gone through my department as well. So we were talking about Boo Bash being one of those that is, you know, more community focused, and so we, as it relates to the assets and the support organizations and maybe like holding them accountable, we thought that would be maybe a great one to get the support groups and the assets to take over, because they should all really have a presence at that event. So we can help, you know, with the PD and blocking streets part of it, but really put the like boots on the ground part to them. And then I've also already talked to Taylor about the community unity concept that we want to do and bring the community together, passing that to Berkeley Bastrop. So like, we're just based off yesterday's conversation, already starting to go through and look through what could be kind of pushed around, and then, yeah, what things ultimately do we want to prioritize and focus in on.
Yeah, because when you're doing an event, you're not planning the Texas Monthly, you're not,
Yeah,
you know,
Well,
you're
and as it
not.
relates to like downtown plans, right, these alleyways, like that's a big thing, and that's our future planning, right? That's really big, and historic preservation effort and things like that. When I'm constantly, like, right now, I'm already planning Christmas and Mardi Gras, right? So I'm like in event mode, and we're getting better about being able to copy and paste those things, but it is still very time consuming, so. Just, yeah, thinking about how we start to either pass some of those, we can build the event and then maybe pass it to someone else and help along the way. Homecoming's a great example of that, right? We didn't plan homecoming, but we were a part of the pie as it relates to, here's the direction on how the parade logistics, and here's we'll help with the PD. So kind of moving that direction, I think, if I had y'all support on that.
Same thing with, I mean, I can imagine Juneteenth's that way, homecoming's that way, I can imagine Boo Bash being that way. I mean, there are, I think, some larger ones that definitely could benefit from each one of the nonprofits. I mean, our reimagined Boo Bash now includes 27 nonprofits on Spring Street, all handing out candy. They loved the idea, they've stepped up, it has relieved some of our pressure. I think more and more of that model where we're not the one leading the show. All right, one final thing, I told you guys we had this was the health insurance item, and so this is that surest plan. And so it's a 3.1% reduction in overall insurance rate. That's not an apples to apples because we've had some super sick people. But so this is what we're gonna move toward, and then I'm gonna bring you guys that operational health savings account, flexible savings account, whatever legal mechanism it is, to give the employees $75 a pay period to help toward their medical co-pays.
I have
We have citizen comments left.
one minor thing on Tuesday, our council meeting day, will be our first Highway 71 readdressing committee meeting. So I'll go to the very first one of those that you guys appointed me to.
Oh, cool. I forgot about that.
Yeah, there's 100 little things.
And nothing has happened
Your
since.
info, the readdressing, I mean, there's 100 little things that we're all, still participating in. Are there any citizen comments online?
I haven't gotten any.
Okay.
Nope.
Can I say, there's one more under future that I forgot to ask about.
Yep.
Are we talking about at all doing any buffer on Minerva Delgado between the park and the residents? Is that in any talks for any phase? No type of buffer, no?
Well, so we said we were gonna do, and specifically to ex-councilmember Lee, who sent you all that diatribe email, was some fencing and some shrubbery that has been on the other side, because the other side has had a parking lot against it for years.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so we're just not talking
They're
about.
currently paved parking lot. So yes, once they pave the parking lot, we're putting some shrubbery and,
Okay, and around the rest of the park, no talks for any?
no talks.
Okay,
Not yet.
that's fine, people are asking, I just didn't know if we were even talking about it.
Yeah, no, I don't,
Ellen and Josh, who put up the fence at their own cost.
Who?
Ellen and Josh, who put up the fence at their own cost.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
so no, there have been residents there who have been up against, the park for a couple of years, but the ones where the parking lot is, yes, absolutely, because they are dealing with the lights and the,
Yeah.
so yes, along where the parking lot is, yes, that's where that has been where the conversation has been. We did send off that, hey, are you interested, to that
They're not.
seller? Because you've tried to buy it?
We're trying to wait.
Oh, well, maybe they won't sell it to you, maybe they'll sell it to us.
Yeah, good thing.
But I don't need all of it either, I just, some parking area. So if we don't have any citizen comments, Mayor?
Nada?
Yeah, real quick before we do John's favorite portion. So I was thinking about this leading up and everything I wanted to say, but I'm trying to hold back on some things. Just want to say, first off, appreciate staff, all right, appreciate all the hard work that y'all doing, that y'all done. This last year has been really incredible. Thank y'all, everyone, for rolling with the vision, seeing the vision. I think these council retreats are very, very important. Right? They serve a significant role to how we're going to move forward as a group. More so specifically this trip here. It's a lot that we can take from Fredericksburg to where we can incorporate into Bastrop. I shouldn't have to go through it. We all have seen the things. I think we all had conversations about the good things about it. But as we move forward, you know, we have to realize that, you know, Bastrop is growing, growing at a fast pace. And I, for one, you know, someone who plans on being here, you know, being in Bastrop till I die, hopefully. You know, I want us to be able to build a responsible Bastrop that works for everyone. And, you know, we have a perfect opportunity right now to really set up the future of Bastrop if we work together and plan strategically, right? I know we all have visions and things that we want to have and see for Bastrop, and by all means, I want us all to work together. But, you know, I ask that you all, you know, get behind the vision that I have. I hear what you're saying, and I want to incorporate all of those, and I think we can, and I think we do a great job of it. And so, again, I just want to say thank you for being a part of the team. Thank you, council. Thank you, staff. There's a lot of big, exciting things happening in Bastrop as we move forward, and I wouldn't want to be on no other team, you know. So thank y'all. Yeah, that's all I got. We are Bastrop. Let's get it.
All right.
Rep. Gertie has posted that he's going to file legislation that prevents any city from having an out-of-town retreat. Using us as an example.
Wah, wah. Yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
You have a motion?
Yeah, good time.
Can we get a group picture real quick?
Yes. Hey, you know what? This is not the first time I've done something in my life to where they had to rewrite the rules.
That's my life story.